If it's ever come down to one game to win your bracket, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. It is going to be Monday, April 6th, and I hope all of you had a wonderful Easter weekend and Good Friday. As a reminder, on Good Friday, we got a pretty good jobs number, and today we are actually looking at a little bit of green, despite some of the weekend rhetoric, we'll call it. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here today. We've got some more news to cover. We've got another interview for you here today. We kick off another busy week here on a Monday. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Monday edition for April 6th, 2026, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. Again, I hope that you all had a wonderful Easter weekend. And if you're still celebrating Passover, hopefully all is going well. It's great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here on Monday for another week as we continue to truck through April here. We opened April mid last week, and now our first full week here of April going forward. Oops, I pressed the wrong intro there. Sorry about that, producer. It's a Monday. What can I say? Anyway, great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here. Peter is first here today. Good morning, Peter. Welcome. Hopefully all is well with you in Colorado. Good morning. Astro Kev, good morning. Welcome back. Bueno Pasqua. Okay. Learn something every day. Good morning, Benzi gang. Everyone hit those likes and get the market rolling. Indeed, hit the likes early. The earlier you hit it, the better off it is for us, or so I hear. Astro Kev, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Robert, good morning. Welcome back. Reaching Financial Freedom, good morning. Welcome back. Zach McCracken, it's great to have you as always. No proceeds from profits made from Thursday to Friday will be distributed to the Benzinga anchors in cash or booze form. Zach, we just got to make sure we're keeping everything on the up and up. That makes a lot of sense. Just got to make sure you're keeping everything on the up and up. Nonetheless, hope all is going well for you. And I hope that there are a lot of green arrows in your port. That sounds really awesome. Francis, good morning. Welcome back. Crispy Biscuit, good morning. Welcome back. Solitary Soldier, good morning. It's great to see you. Big Hurt, good morning. Welcome back. Yes, That Girl, good morning. Welcome back. Chat Scanner Extraordinaire Billy, good morning. Welcome back. It's good to see you, Billy. Kelly or Two, good morning. Welcome back. Big Dave, good morning. Welcome back. Marionette, good morning. Welcome back. Marionette, been a member for 2 months. Love it. Zinger Nation. Spreading across the world. We appreciate you, Marionette. We appreciate you a lot. Hope that you're doing well here. Jim, good morning. Welcome back. Rajesh, good morning. Welcome back. Bernhard, good morning. Welcome back. Marty, good morning. I look forward to the morning reading of the headlines. It saves me time. Good. That's what we're trying to do. I pick stories that should be important, but also are important to what our group focuses on here quite a bit. So glad I'm saving you some time. Crispy Biscuit, good morning. Gen Z Pool Guy, good morning. Welcome back. Corey, good morning. Cam, good morning. JJ, good morning. Ricardo, good morning. It's good to see you. Durkis, good morning. I hope you had a wonderful Easter weekend. I did. I sure did. It wasn't as warm as I would hoped here, but I was still able to have some fun this weekend. Didn't get the car washed, unfortunately, but that's coming next weekend, I'm sure. Bigabees, good morning. Linda, good morning. Captain Cloudy, good morning. The Noob, good morning. Jonas, good morning. Jonas says, start the effing stream, you crazy bees, end quote. LOL. Not offended by that because that happens to be topical. Jonas. And so I actually appreciate it a little bit. Never a bad idea to start Monday with some smiles. Am I right, my guy? Suprick, good morning. Welcome back. Built to win, and that's with 2 N's, just to make sure that you got it. Good morning. Welcome back. Buffalo by Bicycle, good morning. Drew, good morning. LFG, love the energy, Drew. Pump the energy up. That's what we need. We need that every single day, and you're out here delivering it today. And for that, we appreciate you. BH, good morning. Oh, that's right. This is someone else that was Bob, right? Because your account got hacked, so you got a new handle that I'm trying to remember. You guys aren't making it easy on me, but I'm going to do the best I can. Bob, good morning. Welcome back. It's good to see you. Zach says we got some more news, CCLD and UAVS. We have some drone news here today. Okay, I'm sure we'll check that out. Acorns, good morning. Whis, good morning. Happy Masters Week. Whis, I can't tell you how happy I am that I get to travel to Detroit this week. I get to hang out with my coworkers who are also my friends. And then we get to enjoy Masters Week into the weekend. I mean, it's going to be hard to top that, Wiss. Let me know who you got for the Masters, by the way. James Bond, good morning. Bond, James Bond. I got to be honest. I could have so much fun with your YouTube handle. James Bond's one of my favorite fictional characters of all time. Your YouTube handle rocks. Good morning. Welcome. I hope to keep seeing you back. Jonas, it's all good, man. You made me laugh. You're doing great today so far. Rooster, good morning. Jay Harris, good morning. Just passing through, good morning. And Up 30, good morning. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get this Monday kicked off with our stock market today. All right, futures have some green arrows ahead of Monday's open here for April 6th. S&P futures are up 0.07%. They're actually down from their morning highs here, but still doing their best to hold on to green. Dow futures have actually swung to the red. They were higher here this morning. They're down by 0.13%. And the NASDAQ still higher by 0.36%. That's also off its lows, but still higher here ahead of the open. Now, let's take a look at some cues from last session, shall we? Real estate, information technology, and consumer staples stocks recorded the biggest gains on Thursday. That led most S&P sectors to a close higher. However, healthcare and consumer discretionary stocks bucked the trend. Now, over the weekend, we had some more developments, I guess you could say. President Trump on Sunday threatened to destroy Iran's energy and civilian infrastructure if it failed to reopen the Strait of Hormuz by its deadline of Tuesday, warning of severe consequences in a Truth Social post. Quote, Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up into one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the strait, you crazy bleep, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. End quote. It was a post said on Truth Social. Thankfully, it appears as if cooler heads have prevailed since that post. Trump will also be holding a press conference alongside military officials. That's going to happen later on Monday. And meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.36%, and the 2-year bond was at 3.86%. The CME Group's Fed Watch Tool projections show the market's pricing in a 99.5% likelihood of the Federal Reserve leaving the current interest rates unchanged in its April meeting. All right, now we have several stocks in focus here for you today. Jay Harris, get ready, because our first one is Broadcom. Broadcom, which is ticker AVGO, rose 0.78% after it named Amy Thurner as CFO. That is effective June 12th, succeeding Kirsten M. Spears. The next stock on our list is going to be Cheer Holdings. We could all use some more cheer. The ticker on this one is CHR, and it advanced by 3.12% after announcing a 1-for-3 reverse stock split effective today, April 6th, in order to maintain its NASDAQ listing. The next stock on our list is United Airlines. That's ticker UAL, and it was up 1.1% after it said on Friday that it plans to introduce a new tiered fare structure in premium cabins starting later this year. The next stock on our list is going to be DeFi Technologies, and the ticker is DEFT. It jumped 9.5% lower after reporting mixed results for the fourth quarter. The company posted quarterly earnings of 8 cents per share, which beat the analyst consensus estimate of 3 cents per share. The company reported quarterly sales of $20 million, which missed the analyst consensus of $29.744 million. The last stock on our list is going to be New Technologies. That's NIU, ticker NIU. It gained 1.41% after providing its sales volume results for the first quarter of 2026. In the first quarter of 2026, NIU sold 261,624 units, including e-motorcycles, e-mopeds, e-bikes, kick scooters, and e-bikes. E-motorcycles, e-bicycles. I guess that's a little bit different. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look at the SPY chart here today. Producer, do you want to run the asset before I screw it up again? Producer? Okay, we're going to do no asset. Cold roll into the chart. Here we go. Looking at, this is Ondas. Let's get SPY on here. Boy, we appear to have a case of the Mondays here today. That's okay, though. We'll get this back on track here. Here's a look at your SPY chart. Now, the interesting note is we're still kind of in the middle of this range, right? Like, we've talked a lot about what some of the key levels are. We've really, especially over the past couple of sessions, we've made a lot of references to the 200-day. Once we broke through it, we actually had 3 very quick attempts to recapture it, and none of those attempts were successful. We actually probed an area lower. That's where we came down to just about the 10% pullback level, although technically we did not actually print it. We got within a stone's throw of it. And then we started to rebound. And I know what the big question is here is that it, right? Is that it for a sell-off? Is the rebound in now? Are we going back to the highs? And I would just caution, folks, I don't think I'm there yet. Looking at the chart here, it definitely appears that today's candle is going to have another test of the 20-day moving average. Now, I've got that value at 658.11 here on the SPY. We're at 656 and a quarter here in the pre-market. So I would imagine this is definitely going to get tested today. But furthermore, I would also not be surprised if we kind of ripped through that 20-day to the upside and then found some resistance at 661.5, which is right where the 200 is. I suspect, at least my guess would be that the 200-day would be a tougher moving average to actually break and close over than the 20. I would imagine intraday will if we do end up testing it, we'll probably peak above it. We'll see if we have the strength to do that here today. As Zach said earlier in the chat, it might be a tweet/post day here today. In other words, we could have a fairly, dare I say it, but we could have a fairly benign market, and then all of a sudden get some type of post that causes it to be non-benign, for lack of a better term. So we'll see where this candle closes. Big thing for me here today is, are we able to close above any of these moving averages? One more thing to keep in mind about the moving averages, really, to turn a former resistance into support or a former support into resistance, especially when we're looking on daily or higher timeframes, you really want to see 3 closes above that. So if we moved up today and we closed at like 660, where we closed above the 20-day, but still below the 200-day, I'd be in a position where that's great. It's great that we got our one close above the 20, but we're certainly not out of the woods. And I think that we got to be very careful about kind of getting set up here for a bull trap. If this thing bounces back to the 200-day and then rolls over and prints new lows, my primary goal is to make sure that we didn't get a whole bunch of people kind of sucked into this bull trap only to have them puked out on the backside. That's what we want to avoid. Now, to the downside, I know we spent a lot of time talking about upside levels. To the downside here, we're still going to have that trend line. It's basically right at 650 here today. The round 650 number, that should come into play. It's 6 points lower than where we're at. It's also worth noting that the weekend overnight lows look to be about 653 and a quarter. So maybe that level will come into play too. But this is pretty much what we're looking at the SPY. Where do we close? And do we take any of these moving averages out, or do we stay beneath them? All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some insights from analysts here. Mohammed El-Arian has his thoughts for us. He paints a picture of a resilient but increasingly vulnerable U.S. economy currently caught between robust activity and escalating geopolitical pressures. Well, he notes the U.S. has been, quote, better positioned, end quote, than Europe or Asia. He warns that inflationary pressures are mounting. He highlights a stark divergence in policy sentiment, critiquing the Federal Reserve's well-positioned mantra as lacking the, quote, analytical and intellectual agility, end quote, shown by other central banks. Regarding the markets, El-Arian observes that after the worst quarter since 2022, U.S. stocks saw a recent bounce even as they decoupled from rising oil prices. However, he remains wary of, quote, broader economic damage, end quote, caused by the Middle East war, noting that while the U.S. has largely been limited to the initial phases of financial impact, it's not immune from the looming supply side shocks. He underscores the gravity of the current global shift, quoting the IMF's warning that, quote, all roads lead to higher prices and lower growth. As the U.S. faces a week of heavy data, including the projected jump in headline CPI to over 3%, El-Arian suggests the economy is at a crossroads where, quote, increasing inflationary pressures, are being accompanied by resilient activity, end quote. And that creates a complex backdrop for new investors. And I would completely agree with him. This market, not for the faint of heart, as we see on a regular basis here. Certainly not a great one for new investors. It's also one of the reasons why, I'm hot or cold on day trading. Day trading, definitely having your positions flat, especially new positions by the end of the day, that absolutely seems to be the way to go here. But it's difficult. And frankly, if you're not babysitting these positions, you could get up to go to the washroom, come back, and your green trade is now in the red. Evaporate your profits or worse, even completely in the red. So it's been tough. Swinging's been tough. The environment's been tough. I got to think that better days are ahead. Remember, as far as the seasonality goes, now that we're rolling into April, generally speaking, mid to late April, things start to turn around. And I know seasonality has let us down, especially at the September quarter. We didn't get what we were expected, but just kind of worth keeping in mind here for April. Another rollover on the SPY, setting some new lows, breaching that 10% level, followed by a hold and a move back higher. To me, I think that would be really good. We'll see if we end up getting that. Now, as mentioned, there's a lot of stuff going on this week. Here's your rundown of some of your economic activity. Today, we get March's ISM services data. That'll be out by 10. Tomorrow, we get February's durable goods orders and durable goods minus transportation data. That will be out by 8:30. We also have Chicago Fed President Austin Goolsbee. He'll speak at 12:35. We get February's consumer credit data, which will be released at 3. And we have Fed Vice Chair Philip Jefferson speaking at 5:50, all times Eastern, by the way. On Wednesday, we have San Francisco Fed President Mary Daly speaking at 1. And the minutes of the Fed's May FOMC meeting will be released at 2. On Thursday, we have February's personal income, personal spending, PCE, core PCE, and the second revision of the fourth quarter GDP number. I mean, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Along with the initial jobless claims for the week ending April 4th, that'll be out by 8:30. February's wholesale data will be out by 10. Friday's March Consumer Price Index and core CPI data will be out by 8:30. And February's factory order data and April's preliminary consumer sentiment data will be out by 10. So like I said, we got a lot of data here this week. We'll see how that ends up guiding the market on what feels like it's going to be a pretty volatile week. All right. First story here. This is on Taiwan Semiconductor. And I think one of the things that we've seen here with Taiwan Semiconductor is that this is absolutely at the crux of the AI trade. I mean, even other companies, they in some way, all roads lead back to Taiwan Semiconductor. And I think that these news stories are all important here today. They have a big day coming up. They've got an investors day. And obviously, we're watching AI. We're watching the war. We're watching all of the different AI companies, some of which are rivals here. Taiwan Semiconductor, or ticker TSM, is set to take center stage as investors look for clarity on AI-driven demand, geopolitical risks, and rising competition in the semiconductor space. The leading contract chip maker will host its investors conference on April 16th, where industry experts expect close attention to AI demand, geopolitical impacts on supply chains, and competition from other companies like Samsung. Remember, Samsung trades on the OTC. The ticker is SSNLF. During the online event, Taiwan Semiconductor will announce its first quarter 2026 financial results and offer guidance for the second quarter. That's according to a recent Radio Taiwan International report. Lu P. Chen from the Taiwan Industry Economic Services, or TIE database at the Taiwan Institute of Economic Research, stated that the conference will primarily examine how geopolitical tensions, including the conflict in the Middle East and new tariff policies, are affecting supply chain costs and consumer electronic demand, along with strategies related to energy, critical gases, and raw materials. The conference will also highlight competition between Taiwan Semiconductor and rivals like Samsung, as well as the TerraFab project backed by Tesla, ticker TSLA, SpaceX, and XAI, which aims to build a semiconductor fab plant in Austin, Texas. Taiwan Semiconductor continues to dominate the chip industry and drive Foundry 2.0 growth, but surging AI demand is stretching its capacity and exposing bottlenecks. While the company posted a 36% revenue growth and holds a 72% market share, overloaded 3 nanometer capacity and fully booked 2 nanometer capacity lines are pushing some customers towards rivals like Samsung, and that's per a Counterpoint research report. At 342.50, TSM is sitting between nearby chart levels, which often turns the next breakout or pullback into a key level story. Moving average data, the 20 and the 100-day simple moving average, the stock's price over the last 20 and 100 sessions, isn't available here, so the cleanest read comes from support and resistance at the stock's position in its yearly range. The stock is well off its 52-week low of 134.25 and below its 52-week high of 390.20, which is consistent with a longer-term uptrend that has cooled from February's peak. The backdrop matters because the last major momentum extreme showed up when RSI entered overbought territory. That was on February 24th of 2026. And often signals buyers or signs buyers were getting stretched in the short run. Two prior trend signals are also worth keeping in mind. The death cross in April, that was April 8th of 2025, warned of weakening longer-term trend at the time. Well, the golden cross in June 26th of 2025, later flipped that longer-term signal back to bullish. More recently, the chart has been choppy. Price broke above the resistance on March 11th, then broke below support on March 26th. So traders are watching whether the stock can reclaim lost ground or stay range-bound. And I think that's one of the big things here. Let me get, Big B's, you want the link to this article? Yes, absolutely you can. Here it is. Also, one more thing to keep in mind. With a lot of these articles, I sometimes don't read them just because of the way it's laid out here, but there's a lot of other really good stuff about not only its resistance, but its earnings estimates, and then what other analysts say about that stock. 351 key resistance, 332 a key support. Where will TSM go next? The group will have to let me know. We're currently sitting right here at 341. So as far as those 2 points go, someone in no man's land. Taiwan Semiconductor, its EPS estimate is 327. That's up from 212 year over year. Its revenue estimate is 35.5 billion. That's up from 25.5 billion. It's got a valuation of 32.7 times, so it does indicate a premium valuation, but given where this is at, I don't think that should be any surprise to anybody, frankly. Davidson has a buy, 450 target. Barclays has an overweight, 450 target. And TD Cowen has a hold and a 370 target. All of those price targets are from 2026. They're rather fresh from this year. And of course, Taiwan Semiconductor, easy for me to say, in a number of ETFs, the PHX, the IVES, which is Dan Ives, and then the Harbor International, OSEA, all has greater than 5% weightings in those ETFs. So a really important stalwart here that's going to determine where we go. And that's coming up here, next week, right? 16th? Yeah, next Thursday. So should be fun. Okay. Next here, we have a story about Warren Buffett, and it has to do with buying the dip. So I figured you guys would want to hear about this without a doubt. Warren Buffett remains unfazed by recent market turbulence, dismissing the downturn as, quote, nothing, end quote. While talking about Berkshire Hathaway, that's ticker BRK, massive cash pile is ready for a true market plunge. And this is something that we have discussed quite a bit. I definitely want you all to have dry powder and be ready for that. Obviously, we can't necessarily run our own trading business the same way Berkshire Hathaway and Warren Buffett do, but we can gather some pretty good insights from him. He has a long history of doing the right things and not panicking when it's right to do so. Since the Iran war began in late February, Wall Street has stumbled. The Dow Jones Industrial Average has plunged 5.05%, and the S&P has dropped 4.3%. The NASDAQ has fallen 3.48%. That's all between February 27th and April 2nd. Yet the legendary investor is not rushing out to buy the dip. Quote, 3 times since I've taken over Berkshire, it's gone down more than 50%, end quote. This was Buffett telling CNBC's Becky Quick in his first interview since stepping back as the Berkshire Hathaway CEO. Recalling the 2008 financial crisis, he added, quote, I mean, this is nothing to make you get excited and think there's huge valuation, end quote. So reading between the tea leaves here, Warren Buffett, often viewed as perhaps the most legendary value investor, and despite the pullback here, say we almost got to 10% before bouncing a little bit, he's not excited at all about this. And we tried to talk about this. We tried to have you folks as prepared as possible for this. A move down would be great. But the reason that we're looking at levels like 10% and 15% is because, frankly, it has to be enough to draw in some of these value buyers. The momentum buyers, the folks like you guys, like Billy and Kathy and Big B's and EKS and everyone that joins here that trades every day, we're not going to be phased. We're going to find momentum out there. But the value guys that only trade when things make sense, they're telling you it doesn't make sense yet. Buffett emphasized that a minor market haircut is insufficient to trigger a spending spree from Berkshire's cash hoard, which currently sits north of $350 billion. Quote, if they're 5 or 6% cheaper, we aren't in it to make 5 or 6%, end quote. Yeah, he wants the big moves. Instead, Buffett remains fiercely patient, waiting for deep value. Sounds like Tim Melvin a little bit, actually. Quote, if there's a big decline, we will deploy, end quote. So that kind of gives you a little bit more good feeling, I guess. You have the Buffett buy, the Buffett bottom in there somewhere. I mean, the big thing to take away from this entire story is that waiting for big moves down, this is what's going to actually cause you to make the most amount of money over the long term. I know when we sit down here, we're all focused on geopolitical tasks and what the market is doing every single day. And that's all well and good, but there's other ways to go about this. Warren's doing a really good job highlighting all of that. He stressed that Berkshire buys businesses because they are fundamentally attractive, with plans to hold them indefinitely. Quote, we are not planning to sell them next week or next month, so we want to be right on them, end quote. While acknowledging the unpredictability of geopolitical events, Buffett reiterated his strict refusal to time the market. He warned against speculative behavior, comparing modern trading to a casino attached to the incredible cathedral of the American economic system. Rather than chasing modest gains, rather than chasing modest corrections, Berkshire continues to aggressively buy short-term U.S. Treasury bills. As Buffett waits out the uncertainty, his strategy remains unchanged. Keep cash highly liquid, ignore the day-to-day noise, and wait for a generational opportunity to buy. Easy for me to say. Sorry about that. So, I think this is really good advice, right? We want to make sure that we're buying the dip. We don't want to buy the dip too early. What Warren is basically telling you here is, hey, don't get excited. We've got some time yet, and we're going to keep the powder dry until it makes sense. All right, another interesting story here. I knew that this was only a matter of time. And every football season, it seems like I have a weekly conversation with my mom to discuss where the games that she wants to watch are, because it's all different and it keeps changing, and it doesn't seem like it's getting easier. Maybe the FCC can step in here and help? FCC considers an overhaul of local sports blackouts as fans face $1,000 subscription maze across multiple streaming services. I don't know how it is where you folks live, but here in the Chicagoland area, we have like new sports networks that are individual to teams that are popping up, making this mess even more convoluted. It's not good. It definitely needs some reform. The Federal Communications Commission is exploring changes to local blackout restrictions as fans face skyrocketing costs and a maze of streaming services just in order to watch their live sports. In February, the FCC announced it is seeking public comment on the consumer experience with live sports viewing, citing rising subscription costs and a fragmented media landscape. This was all reported by The Hill on Sunday. Quote, sports remain inherently local. Despite the increasing national nature and reach, end quote, of games, the commission said in its public notice, emphasizing the need to understand how current rules affect both consumers and broadcasters. Fans' frustration has grown. Watching every NFL game last season could require subscriptions to 10 different services, costing more than $1,000. That was according to FCC estimates. Olivia Stomsky, director of Syracuse University's Newhouse Sports Media Center, highlighted the human impact. Quote, I can't help but think of the older sports fan who is maybe retired and say the Mets game is the highlight of their day or week. Brian, were they talking about you? Just curious. And how they now can't find it or have to pay for another platform they maybe can't afford. I totally get this one. Major media companies and leagues have pushed back. Yeah, of course they have. Fox Corporation warned that widespread streaming, is my favorite, widespread streaming could have a, quote, dramatic impact on both consumers and local journalism, end quote, while noting that big tech's acquisition of sports rights risk locking fans out of marquee events. No word yet if they're already being locked out, which I suspect they are. Last year, YouTube and Fox struck a deal keeping Fox News, Fox Sports, and other channels on YouTube TV, avoiding a blackout of nearly 8 million subscribers. FCC Chairman Brendan Carr had warned that losing Fox channels ahead of major events would be a, quote, terrible outcome, end quote, and later praised the agreement as, quote, great news for college football fans, end quote. Netflix, ticker NFLX, also secured exclusive streaming rights for the 2026 World Baseball Classic in Japan, marking its first live sports event in the country. The platform broadcast all 47 games live and on demand, with Team Japan, led by Shohei Ohtani, drawing over 30 million viewers for most games, rivaling Super Bowl ratings. Just eye-popping numbers. The Walt Disney Company, ticker DIS, reinstated Jimmy Kimmel Live after a temporary suspension following criticism from regional networks, FCC officials, and the president. The company cited the need to ease tensions and confirm discussions with Kimmel before resuming the show on ABC. So let me know what you think happens here. Do you think that they make any headway and make live sporting events easier to consume, or for heaven's sakes, just easier to find? I mean, look, I'm sure Robert here is saying, I use NFL Plus and don't watch anything live anymore. Robert, I wonder how many people are going to do the same thing that you are, right? I wonder what the point is where people just say, you know what? I don't want anything extra that doesn't come on Sunday. I'm not paying for all of these subscriptions. I mean, the problem is with some of these sports leagues, I don't think they're going to listen or care until they start seeing numbers drop. And that might take some time. That honestly might take some time. So anyway, I want to see how this shakes out. One other thing I'm going to be keeping my eye open for on this is if I think that there's any way that we can actually make money off of some of the changes, that would be one thing. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but we'll see. We'll see on that. I just, especially with baseball, I mean, if you're an old school baseball fan, there's 162 games a year. There's already a bunch of different channels that they're on. Now you have local networks vying for individual streaming rights. I mean, it's a whole mess. It's a whole big mess. Maybe they'll invent something that has all of the streaming services combined and name it something uncreative like cable. Who knows? All right, folks. I know Monday is normally just very news heavy, but we have a very special guest for you here today. I know we continue to interview companies here that make the news cycle that we discuss, and I am quite pleased to have another one for you here today. It is my pleasure to welcome on Faraday Futures President Jerry Wang. Let's go ahead and bring him onto the show. Jerry, good morning. How you doing here today?
I'm doing very good. Good morning, Ryan. Good to see you again.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for coming back.
Thank you.
Never joined us before. This is Faraday Future President Jerry Wang. The ticker is FFAI on the NASDAQ. Faraday Future Intelligent Electric is a California-based global embodied AI ecosystem company. Jerry, let me just get started with that right there. This is really interesting here. What changed internally that led Faraday Future to evolve from an EV company into a embodied AI ecosystem?
Yeah, that's a great question. So actually, this is the trend that we're seeing from the industry, from the market. Actually, it's not only us, but if we can see very promising EV companies, no matter Tesla or Rivian or XPeng in China, they are all developing their own embodied AI strategy. So they're not only building cars, but also building robotics as well. And in our opinion, no matter cars or robotics, they're kind of all the EAI, embodied AI products. hardware, right? And for sure, you should not only building hardware, but also building the software, building the training, connectivity, data, analytics skills, so on and so forth. So that's a platform, that's an ecosystem. So that's from a natural involvement, from just building cars to adding cars and robotics, and we're building a platform to connect it together.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We're seeing news out of Tesla about that with the merger of XAI and then also the Optimus robot. So I think you're right over the target there.
Yeah,
what have you learned from your initial robotics deployment that gives you confidence in scaling this business?
Yeah, sure. We're seeing a very, very good demand, very strong demand from the market. After we launched for approximately 2 months, we have more than 1,000 reservations, and the number is growing. Not only that, but the actual delivery we made is more than 20 of them in probably 1 month of time. So we see a really, really good demand from the market. And this is very early. This is still very early stage, huge blue ocean opportunity. In my view, probably after 5-7 years, there will be more robotics combined together compared to human beings. So we're talking about like 10 trillion, 20 trillion, 30 trillion dollar value of market potential in the next 5 to 10 years. And whoever capture this market first have the first mover advantage, which is very the future.
Yeah, no question about it. Now, how important is it that Faraday Future is already placing robotic products into real world environments like retail and education?
Yeah, that's very important because first it's about hardware deployment. If we take a step and think what makes Tesla such a great company, trillion-dollar company, right? It's not only that they have capability to build cars, but also they're able to capture data, real world human driving data to make their FSD better. And the better their FSD is, the more car they're going to sell because the better product is. And then this will enhance their FSD improvement as well. So we think very similar logic, right? We think whoever that can deploy hardware to real world on the robotic side will have the first mover advantage. It's not only selling hardware, and we're selling it with a positive gross margin on the hardware side, which is great, right? But not only that, the more important is that by deploying devices to the real world, we're able to gather in data, no matter successful data or even failure data. That's probably more valuable to us. So we'll know how to improve the product, how to train the robotic to do the right thing for human being, and then continue to improve the user experience of our product.
No doubt. I mean, real world data sounds like the best kind of data, right? When we talk about data, there's an old adage, garbage in, garbage out. You want that data, even in the case of failure data, as you're outlining here, to be good. And I would imagine you get the best quality data from the real world. So all of that tracks quite a bit as well. Look, what key milestones should investors watch to measure progress in scaling these robotics deliveries?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say the first, we have two different product portfolio on the robotics. We have humanoid, we have a quadruped, which is robotic dogs. Right, on humanoid we have a larger one, 1.7 meter, and we have shorter one, 1.3 meter. And on the robotic dog, we have a few selection as well. It's all FCC compliance. We pass all the compliance requirement for United States so that we can deploy those products to markets. Right, and a few milestone investors should watch. I would say that first is definitely the monthly delivery data. So we are trying to ramp up the delivery production and delivery on a month-to-month basis, and we see huge, very promising demands from the market. I would say that's the first thing.
Okay, now, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and we have updated our projection for the year of 2026. The target is deliver approximately 1,000 robots to U.S. market. So that's our goal. We're pushing for it.
Okay, awesome. Now, how do you see the intersection of intelligent vehicles and robotics evolving over the next 3 to 5 years, and where does Faraday Future fit in all of that?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. I would say that similar to what I just shared, we are thinking the robotics and the cars are kind of the same. The car is a subset of the robotics. They're bringing human being from point A to point B, right? So we're seeing a great merging of those two industries together. and whoever building not only building a very good and efficient hardware, but more importantly, having the data capability can have the car be smarter, be more user friendly, as well as having the robotics be more smarter, train their we call it EAI brain, right? Embodied AI brain. Having those capability will significantly improve the user experience and to connect those two ecosystems together. I would say that definitely the hardware, but also the software and training capability and data capture capability would be very important.
Okay, now how does progress on regulatory milestones like the FCC certification accelerate commercialization of your robotics segment?
Yeah, that's a very good question as well. Because we are seeing a very good development of the robotics in China. There are more than 10,000, 20,000 robotic delivered last year. But guess what? In the United States, the data might be zero, right? Very less robotic actually delivered to real world usage last year, right? So that's very, very important. There is a huge gap. Someone should like really bridge the gap. But having compliance according to U.S. laws and regulation is very important. I'm not saying a China company, deploy thousands, tens of thousands of robots to the U.S. families, right? But we're a California company. The headquarters is based in California. The training center, the software are all made in U.S. and based in U.S. So I think that having the regulatory compliance would significantly boost our delivery opportunity for the robotic market.
Okay, now how should investors think about the long-term revenue combination of robotics alongside the EV business? It makes sense to me in terms of data training, but what should investors think about in terms of revenue?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. I would say that from the short-term perspective, we are going to see a more improvement or increase on the robotic revenue because we are already in delivery and also we're delivering in a positive gross margin. That is very difficult. As you know, like building cars with positive gross margin, especially for the new player, is extremely difficult. I believe it's only Tesla has achieved it in the United States market, right? So I think in the short term, we're going to see our revenue. We hope that our revenue of the robotic will continue to increase with a positive gross margin. And in the mid to long term, we hope it's something, I would not say the 50-50, but we continue to deliver and ramp up more robotic while that we start delivery of our vehicles. And don't forget of our second vehicle, which is FX Super One, is a luxury minivan. Yeah, we have more than 11,000 paid reservations. So the market is waiting for the car. And we see very strong demand from the market as well. But the compliance requirement for electric vehicle is much strict compared to the robotics.
Yeah, no question. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you kind of touched on this a little bit, but maybe you can elaborate on it a little bit. Why do you believe embodied AI is the next major wave? And how is Faraday Future positioned to lead that next major wave?
Yeah, that's a great question. From an industry development perspective, so again, with the increasing of the productivity and the training capability, the more data, the better the model is. The better the model is, the better the robotic performance is. As we can see, no matter Tesla Optimus or Figure, they're able to handle relatively complex tasks, right? So the capability of the robots are continue to increase, significantly. On the other hand, the cost is going down very meaningfully as well with all the development of the supply chain, with the manufacturing capability, with the training capability, so on and so forth. So I would say that the productivity increase of the robots to human society, to human economy, I would say is it's tremendous. We're talking about probably a 10x productivity increase in the next 10 years, 5 to 10 years. So that means a lot of devices, a lot of embodied AI devices needs to be manufactured and deployed to our real world life. We're talking about, we have approximately, 8 billion people. So I guess we're talking about definitely more than 8 billion robotics will be deployed to human economy in the next 10 years. So definitely we're talking about like 10, 20 trillion US dollar market opportunity. So whoever that can capture a small portion will be a really cool opportunity.
Yeah, I have no problem seeing 3 to 4 robots per person. And I'm not even a professional in this whole thing. So I could see that being a lot more. And look, Do you feel as if the company has entered a new chapter following all of this operational momentum and the regulatory environments that you have? Like it feels like almost like a shift for you guys, right?
Yeah, that's a fair judgment. I would not say the shift, but a
Okay.
natural expansion of our strategy and product. So again, if you see the car is sort of a subset of the robotics. It has four wheels and carry people from point A to point B with a good user experience. In our car, you can watch TV, you can watch Netflix, you can watch live sports game, as you just mentioned. It's a very cool experience, right? So I would say that it's a natural evolvement, natural expansion of the company strategy.
Okay, great. That's awesome. And then lastly here, and perhaps most importantly for anyone looking to invest, what's the most misunderstood aspect of Faraday Future today from an investor's perspective?
Yeah, I would say that still investor might not quite capture the latest development of the company on the robotic side. That's the
Mm-hmm.
first. And second, people might be confused. Oh, you're only delivering like 20 robots. Is there real demand? Are you doing
Mm-hmm.
are you really increasing your volume? Are you really ramping up your delivery schedule? Right? People have some sort of questions to that
Mm-hmm.
as well. And the third, I would be very straightforward: the concern of dilution. But I think
Mm-hmm.
situation changed significantly. So before, in order to launch cars, we're talking about at least $100 million is needed
Mm-hmm.
in order to pass homologation and start to ramp up. So we're talking about big money here. But on the robotics, people can see my financials. Actually, it's a very capital light, asset light, and capital efficient business. So again, we are delivering with revenue and with a gross margin. Right? So the capital that I need to ramp up the robotic business is much less compared to the automotive side. It does not mean that I'm not doing the automotive, but right now I'm having a much better capability to control the pace, so that I can manage the financing. I can manage the cash flow much conservatively and much with more responsibility compared to before.
Okay, that's awesome. Look, I really appreciate this. Faraday Future President Jerry Wang, again, that's ticker FFAI on the NASDAQ, California based global embodied AI ecosystem company. Jerry, thanks for joining us here this morning. I love the story and I look forward to continuing to following up with you. All right.
Likewise, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. All right, folks. Jerry Wang from FFAI. Really appreciate that. Thank you. A lot of the comments here in the chat. Look, again, I'm trying to bring you all of the kind of maybe the under the radar. Like it'd be one thing if I was like, yeah, I think Tesla's a really good buy, but I'm trying to find all of the kind of the under the radar new startup type companies that may have an impact. And I think it's great to hear from the people that are involved directly, right? It's one thing for me to have an opinion on something. It's quite another to hear directly from those folks that are involved. So we thank Jerry for joining us here, and we look forward to doing that again in the future. All right. How are we doing on time here? Actually, we are doing good here on time. I got one more news story here, very, very brief, and it is regarding a company that we talk about all of the time. Let's go ahead and bring this back up here real quick. We are going to get 13 on, and I do have a tweet to go through here. But this last story here, this is going to go. This is on Velo 3D. Now, this is one that we've been trading quite a bit here. I know that there's a pretty good story going on here. Velo had a good move last week. It's actually down a little bit here in the pre-market today. Velo 3D shares are trading lower on Monday morning. And this follows a period of intense volatility. Excuse me, lost my place here real quick. This follows a period of intense volatility and a scheduled transition into the company's executive suite. The decline coincides with James Suva officially assuming the role of chief financial officer on Monday. Velo 3D originally announced Suva's appointment on March 25th. He succeeds Bernard Chung, who served as acting CFO since December. Now, Suva brings over 20 years of capital markets experience to the metal 3D printing firm. Quote, We are excited to welcome Jim as our chief financial officer, end quote. That came from CEO Arun Jeldi in a company statement. Suva previously served as senior vice president at Cricut. Okay. Now, there's some more stuff going on here with Velo 3D here. Recent data shows a spike in bearish bets against the additive manufacturing leader. Short interest in Velo 3D jumped from 2.31 million shares to 3.51 million shares, so that's not insignificant. Short sellers now control 28.64% of the company's public float. That's high. Based on average daily volume of 1.99 million shares, it would take 1.77 days for the short positions to cover. So although we're high on the percent of float short, we are not that high on days to cover yet. Now, the pre-market move follows a volatile Thursday where the stock gained 23.6%. Velo 3D on March 24th reported fourth quarter revenue of $9.44 million. That beat the analyst consensus estimate. The company recently secured a $9.8 million multi-year defense contract, and management expects to turn EBITDA positive in the second half of 2026. So that's what's going on here with Velo. It had a huge move last week. Looks like it's down a little bit here today, but nothing out of the ordinary or nothing that we can't handle here. Okay, that does it for the news. We are absolutely crushing it so far. Producer, I think it's time. Why don't we go ahead and do street tweets here before 13 shows up? Okay. Tweet comes from the Kobisi letter, and it's about oil prices. Stop me if you've heard that before. Oil prices are now crossing above the $115 a barrel range in the U.S. Now, this came out yesterday, right after the futures opened. So it did cross 115. It is worth noting, looking at oil now, crude anyway, we're at a 110 handle. So it's down 5 points. It's down 1.1% on the day right now. This is after the initial spike higher. As a result, our models indicate that if current levels are sustained for another about 7 weeks, U.S. CPI inflation will rise to 3.7%. So if it's 7 weeks of this higher oil prices, 110, 115 and above, then we go to 3.7% on CPI inflation. That would put U.S. inflation at its highest level since September of 2023. Amid the surge, Americans have spent an additional $240 million per day on fuel costs since the Iran war began on February 28th. I did hear a stat on CNBC that it was only about 3% of household spending. So obviously what this is going to do is disproportionately impact those on the bottom end of the K curve. It's going to be much harder and have much more of an impact on them than anyone else. That's a total of $8.6 billion in increasing spending on fuel. That's only over the last 36 days. Our new base case is 3% CPI inflation, and it's only rising as the war's timeline has extended. So key takeaway here, first of all, we saw a spike in oil prices yesterday when the futures opened. That has since reversed. We'll see if that continues here today or if that trend continues. But this is basically hitting on the exact same thing that we have been talking about for a long time. This is all going to come down to the length of the conflict. If the conflict does get resolved, and I saw reports indicating that yesterday there's more and more traffic going through the Strait of Hormuz, forget all of the posts, forget all of the rhetoric. I think it's all going to come down to traffic through the Strait and what kind of actual impact that has for oil prices and how long that takes. Okay. All right, let's get back to live trading here. We've got 4 minutes until we see 13. That means that I'm going to need you folks to come up with some tickers here first. Let me know what tickers you want to take a look at. I see Micron and gold getting mentioned there. You know what? I guess we can hit some general stuff here real quick. Here's the Qs. Take a look at the Qs. Not a whole lot going on here. Actually looks very similar to the SPY. We're in the same deal. Can we recapture the 20-day? Can we recapture the 200-day? Are we actually set to maybe roll back over? This is very, very similar to what we see here on the SPY, right? We'll see if tech trades any differently than the broader market here today. I'm not too sure. The level, if we really kind of break down, the level that I'd be looking at is probably this 555. Remember, we just talked about Warren Buffett saying that, yeah, I understand that we've moved down, but we haven't moved down nearly enough to get me excited about buying. Well, if you look at the cues here, the next level down, if we break, probably should be this 555. If we break that, is that enough for the value investors to get involved? That's kind of what we're going to be waiting to see here on the cues. Next one, gold. We want to take a look at GLD. Let's see how we're doing here on gold. So gold looks about flat here today, down a penny or so. What I like about gold is that we obviously we had the huge move up. We talked about that. We've had a kind of a very quick move down. Then we traded sideways. The action that I absolutely like to see. We rolled back over again, but this was to a previous high as well as a consolidation, as well as a support area. So I don't really think there's anything out of the ordinary here either. Now we're in the process of trying to recapture moving averages. So, okay, all of this, what I'm saying here is that all of this looks relatively healthy. To me, I still think gold probably pulls back a little bit. I actually would love it if we were able to test the 200-day. I have that value on ticker GLD at 378.5-ish. Don't know if we'll get that, but I feel a little good about that, or a little bit better about that, I should say. I will say that after the big moves in the up and the down direction, I'm encouraged to see this kind of trading sideways. That tells me that folks are kind of catching up with everything here. So it's an all right looking chart. I don't necessarily have a prediction on where this goes next. If you have one, you should let us know in the chat there. That'd be awesome. And then I'll amplify this. Josh saying, has anyone been able to connect Claude to TradingView? Seems like TradingView has blocked me from connecting. Josh, this is a good question. I've never done this myself. I would imagine that when you're talking about connecting, you're probably talking about reading data from a TradingView API. My guess would be that they want you to pay for that. I don't know. I'm just speculating based off your question. If anyone has an answer here for Josh, let us know. Otherwise, Josh, my only recommendation, if you will, would be to reach out to TradingView and say what's required in all of this. And actually, I'd like to know what they say. So let me know what they say if you do end up doing that. All right, folks, it is just about 9 o'clock Eastern. You know what that means. It is time for the pre-market pulse, which also means it's time for 13. Let's see how he's doing. 13, good morning. 13, did you get a haircut?
Yes, I did.
Hey. So just to for full clarity here, you cut the hair on top, but not the hair here, right? Because that's tied to what the Packers do.
Yeah, I haven't touched the beard. It's just the sides and the back and the top. You know.
Okay, looking sharp. 13, looking sharp. Look, how was your Easter? How was your weekend?
Oh man, my whole weekend holiday thing that started pretty much Thursday evening. Friday.
Tell me about it.
Good Friday, went to, had a boil, and that ended up turning into, a whole party later on at my house. Had, folks over on Saturday, Sunday, we took it easy, just the family and I. It was a great time. So I had a wonderful weekend, very nice weather, even though we did get a little bit of rain. How about you?
Yeah, it was great. We also got some rain here. We did not get the weather as warm as I would like, but you know what? 13, that wasn't enough to ruin anything. Had a great time. Great food over Easter as well. I didn't have a boil, but still had great food.
Hope everybody had a good holiday. And Forever Bitcoin. I was just, that was the first ones I looked at, PFSA. This one was just broke over one of the resistance levels, and now it came right back beneath it. You want to try to just get right into this one?
Yeah, let's just do it. Let me flip over to the movers tab. We can grind through whatever you got, and then we'll take individual names. So what's the first ticker here?
The one you got up.
PFSA, Profusa.
Yep. This one is moving on a couple of things. So I think that because of the volume on Friday, if you look at a daily chart, we're moving on relative volume, but there is also news that this company is going to be acquiring Pro Insights LLC for approximately $30 million in stock. I had the resistance at $2. We just popped above that briefly, but we're still getting some of that resistance because we've gone back down. But the support is at VWAP. Now, the thing about this this deal here that they've made is that they don't have a stock that's valued $30 million. They're going to do this through like commons or preferreds. They're going to be diluting their shares in order to make this deal happen. So they've said that in their if you read the 6 a.m. Print this morning, that's in there. It's going to be in paid in equity securities. So dilution is coming. Now, well, it might be preferred, so it might not be immediate. But just putting that out there, that's how they're planning on making this deal happen. And that's basically what I've got for this one. So if we can still continue to get support from VWAP, which we might, we should come back up and take out 2. 2 is going to be the big resistance. We just hit it, but we need to. I think we need to wait and see what happens toward the open.
Okay, now I see somewhat the makings of a trend line here. It's not perfect, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start in the after hours from Thursday, and I'm going to run through some of the morning highs here today. This sets up a target here. Now, really good stuff on the possible dilution concerns here. So I think the one thing that we should look at is that this is a target for today only.
Yeah, and I don't know when that is going to happen. It could happen as early as today, but it might not. So as long as you're willing to trade that, just understand what the risk is. They could raise do that the dilution as early as today.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there. PFSA. That's the first one. The next here is going to be FCUV. This is Focus Universal. I understand. And really quick, 13, I'm sure you're going through it too. I understand that we have a little bit of a bug calculating the percent change in the details tool. We actually have a new quoting system that should offer better latency. So, and I actually got a 15 minutes, looks to be about the time that they should be able to fix this. So should be all right there. But
I did see conference call transcripts are available.
Yes, they are. Conference call transcripts are now available on production. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of cool stuff that we can do with that. And we will get to that. But anyway, just looking at FCUV here, stock is popping here today, popping by over 100%. I don't have any fresh news on this at all. Looks like I've got an annual report from Tuesday, March 31st. That is the freshest thing that I have in there, but nothing new since then. 3.41% of the float is shorted with 1 day to cover on this name. On average, it only trades 30,000 shares. It is a complete ghost town. Today, we're trading 18 million shares. And the float on this one, micro, about 600K. 13, what do you think here on FCUV today?
So, I looked at this one and a couple of other ones, and I just kind of thought, maybe we're getting a little bit of a delayed reaction to some of these because we did have a shortened week last week. It was pretty much a ghost town on Thursday. So I guess that because there was a shorter week, there was a holiday weekend, folks weren't even around toward, as the week went on. I'm just kind of thinking that maybe there's a little bit of an angle here where this, news is finally being, picked up by or has more eyes on it. But I'm not saying that that's the actual reason it's going. I'm just saying that I think there's a little bit more of attention being paid to it now that market's back into a full week with traders returning. But I still don't think that's necessarily the whole news that's causing it to run. I think it could just be the fact that it's got a very low float and easy to push around. The short interest wasn't really anything of note. 3.4% 1 day to cover, not really a big deal there. The company has 1 to 2 quarters of cash. And let's see here. I was just looking at that. And I was a little bit concerned about this pattern that we've got going on here. It looks like this could be a head and shoulders pattern. Here. So if this does end up resolving lower, it's going to be a breakdown beneath, I think, 650. So that would be the support level. If we don't get a breakdown, then that would be the support level from here. It looks to me like resistance is about 765, 760, somewhere up in there, because that's where we haven't been able to recapture quite yet. It's just slightly above the VWAP.
Okay. All right, good stuff here. FCUV, as you can see on the chart here, I did mark a fair value gap. That's a long way away from here. I don't know if we're going to get back down there. Obviously, we have some of this near-term price action that's going to have to resolve first. I know we don't have a ton of data here yet, 13, but if I were to connect the bottom end of some of these wicks, we do have a possible support trend line. We'll see. No position yet for me, FCUV. Okay. All right, let's keep moving on here. The next one I have is Lynx. Oh boy,
well, I didn't cover that one.
Yeah, so this looks like this just had a piece of news going on, and it's up 48%. Let's see what's going on here. This is Linkers Industry. Again, the ticker is LNKS. That's why I called it Lynx, LNKS. I don't see any fresh news here. I do see that there was a halt. Say it again.
There was a reverse split recently last week.
And that is okay. Now it makes sense. I just needed to keep reading 13. The 1 for 250 reverse split was effective today. So the halt that we're seeing today was likely that actual split. Now it's being unhalted. The stock is running like crazy. So this stock is $2.96. But remember, it went through a 1 for 250 reverse split. So this thing was a penny junker prior to this. Now we're up 43% on seemingly nothing other than the split. 4.23% of the float is shorted with 1 day to cover. I think that's going to be negligible today. I think the price action here is going to trump all of that. Float is 28 million, although I think that's going to change, right? It should be a little bit lower float now. On average, it used to trade 192,000 shares a day. Today, it's done 1.5 million. What do you think here on LNKS 13? I know this is a tough one, but.
Well, I mean, I just didn't look at it, so I don't know anything about it. Looks like it's, kind of like a slightly net positive on their income. They do have revenue that's been growing. Looks like they could benefit from a larger cash position. They've got less than $1 million in the bank. So just keep that in mind. Balance sheet otherwise looks okay. I'm just taking a quick snapshot of this. So if there's anything underlying that I'm not aware of, it's it's not going to become immediately clear to me. So they've also done so they just did an offering in March, a $16 million public offering. Now they've done the reverse split, kind of junky, kind of crappy to move, if you've asked me. So I guess they do have money in the bank, and it's just not showed up yet because we haven't had another earnings yet. But I think this is just one to be careful. If they've done a public offering, diluted the shares, and then did a reverse split, that's kind of a junky move, in my opinion. I don't know that I'd even want to really mess around with this one, but it could provide a trade. Let me see here if I can give you some levels, because I
like EKS. I think this is on this stock. Maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
EKS, very, very succinct coverage of this. It's garbage.
Yeah.
It's garbage.
The whole word gymnastics I was trying to do is essentially leading to, yes, this is essentially a landfill.
Okay, so, as long as we got that out of the way.
If there's any upside to be had in this, it looks like you're going to run into it around somewhere between 4 and 5. That's I'm just looking at the past several days of price action that we can't seem to get above 650, but to me, it looks like 4 to 5 might be the resistance area. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Not a whole lot. EKS went on to say, look at HQ. So I don't know
what, Thailand or what?
Better. What are you talking about? Are you talking about HQ, or are you talking about the stock we just covered? Sorry, man, I'm lost. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I thought he was looking at the saying look at the headquarters. I'm not sure if that was what he meant or not.
So you're not talking about look at HQ, the ticker. You're saying look at the headquarters that told you it's garbage, and as a result,
I'm assuming that's what he meant.
Speculate. I think you might be right. I think I pulled up HQ. I was like, there's nothing going on here. So I think you're probably exactly right. EKS, let us know. But anyway, I'm going to keep moving on here. So we've done these top 3. Next one here is going to be AIB. This is blockchain digital infrastructure. This stock looked like it was barely $1 last week, popping up towards 220 here today. Let's see if we had any news on this thing.
Most recent news,
Good
there
Lord.
wasn't any news as of like today, but they had an earnings at the end of March, and that's kind of going into the thing I said earlier about how there may have been a delayed reaction from some of the things that happened last week. Just
Yeah, no fresh news here. So this just kind of looks like chart action. It's nice that we're seeing a higher low here in the pre-market. Looks like we've got a couple of those. It's struggling to get through the VWAP though. Real quick, just on the share structure here, float of 29, just shy of 30 million. On average, the stock trades 2 million shares a day. It's done 55 million here. There shouldn't be any trouble. Do you have anything on this one, AIB?
Support at 65 EMA, resistance at VWAP. Looks like we could set up for a VWAP breakout if we do get that. Looks like 185 could be the next resistance area, and then 205 after that.
Okay, cool. We buy global. This is the next one here. I know it's kind of another junky stock, but there is actually a catalyst here. We buy global shares are trading higher after the company announced a new AI-enabled meetings, incentives, conference, and exhibitions division. It's generated over $2 million in total transaction value over the first 2 months of operation. Okay, stock is trading higher here a little bit. Again, struggling to get through the VWAP. Do you have anything on this one?
I didn't look at it, but
which is okay.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of data. It looks like they aren't profitable yet. They do have revenue. Yeah, I don't know. I think I would just have to go to the technicals on this one. I think this one requires more reading into.
My big thought here is, can we get through the VWAP?
Okay, let me see here.
And if we can't, I think this probably rolls over back towards 120.
I think when I'm looking at the chart, that's probably the big question for me. Here we are at it right now. We had this big candle earlier this morning, about 30 minutes ago, that took us beneath the VWAP. We've already had a couple of attempts breaking through it. Here we are at the next one. If we do get through this, it looks like there's a big seller in the way at 150 that might suppress the upside price action.
Okay, W buy. Did you have anything else from the list here?
No, those the ones I looked at were mostly the ones I covered.
Yeah, SLNO. There's really nothing to cover here. This is a buyout. Buyouts for 53. That's why it's up. Probably no trade here. MLEC. This was getting mentioned. What?
MULEC again, it's back. All right.
Yeah, this was getting mentioned earlier by Chat Scanner Billy. This had a nice move up to 13, but it really retraced about 80+% of that move. It's nowhere near VWAP. To me, this is a no touch, at least at the moment. But if you have something, we'll do that. We'll do BTBD next, guys.
It looks like there's okay, so they had a filing, a Form 6 on Thursday, April 2nd. It was before the close, but I think if there's anything that's moving on, it might be this. It's a new controlling shareholder, but I don't know if that's the case or not. That's kind of the only thing I would lean on, because I don't know what else is causing this to move, other than maybe because the float's so low.
Okay, yeah, probably just a share structure thing here. Mike's saying it tickled 13.
Oh, it did.
I see what you did there. Mike. I can appreciate that. All right, we'll see if we get any more tickling action here from MULEC.
Oh, no. It just needed to get trimmed. It's just that thing about when, the sides of my hair kind of grow a little bit faster than the top does. So it gets a little more attention.
Okay. Next stock here is going to be BTBD. Bravo Tango, Bravo Delta is your ticker. This is BT Brands. I got a pretty nice, this actually looks like a channel here. I basically just drew the top line here, but we basically have a channel going up and to the right, which is great. We just moved through the VWAP here a little bit. Let's see if there was actually news on this one, BTBD. Friday, April 3rd. So no, we had a Form 8 here in the morning on Friday when the market was closed. But stock is up 23.81% here. Take a quick peek at the short interest. Negligible, 1.03%. 1 day to cover. There's nothing going on there. Stock has a flow of 5 million. On average, it trades just shy of 200,000, but today it's done 2.5 million, so half the float already. 13, what do you think here on BTBD? You think we get a full resolution of this curl through the VWAP towards the top of the trend line there?
Maybe. It looks like that could be a rising broadening wedge, which it's bearish. We could fall out of that and trade lower eventually, but I don't know if if we're gonna do hit the top of that channel first and then come back in and lose it, or if we're gonna lose it just as we go into the open here.
And so really quickly, 13, let me just jump back in here. What I did was I kind of adjusted this to encompass that very first wick. And then it also made it look a little bit more like a broadening wedge, just to kind of go along with the analysis. So we'll see. Keep going.
So I was trying to go back and see what all these other big spikes in the price action were, and it looks like it was off of things like a potential merger, earnings. This is back in like August last year. So just trying to get a sense for what drives this thing up a lot. And, the news that we got today seems like we could go on a bit of a run here like we did back in August, but I don't know how high exactly it's going to get. Maybe once we open, we do end up seeing 3. I could certainly see that as a big resistance area. If you look to the left of this of the daily chart, you can see that 3 has been a big resistance area in the past, and it was also in 2025. So that's about as all I could provide here with BTBD. If we do end up, let me pull this up here so I can get a better view of the chart. Yeah, it looks like we just recaptured VWAP. So I'd say a move over 240 would probably set us up for an attempt to go to 3. Not sure how that's going to look, but that's the resistance I would be keeping an eye on if we once we open.
Yeah. Okay. And it's also worth noting that we had a fair value gap, a bearish fair value gap. It's not unmitigated anymore. It's been hit, but this was basically right where the price stopped, was about the top end of that level. So just food for thought there. Yassine mentioning DRAM here, which is a new ETF. Yes, this was new as of Thursday. This immediately traded up on Thursday, traded up a little bit more here today. So again, new issue. This is going to encompass things like Micron and SanDisk and all of those memory players that we had talked about. 13, do you have any thoughts on this or any of the individual memory names connected to this? And I'm actually going to step away real quick. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. I didn't have a whole lot
if
to
you
say.
Then I'll wait. Okay. That's fine. I thought with some of the other memory names here, there'd be a number of things, but that's okay.
Because we know that the backlog for memory is going to, it's pretty good ways out, and this could be one that maybe initially dips, but then just continues higher. I really don't want to make any predictions on what's going to happen with this because I think this is going to be part of the volatility. We have this demand, but do we have the supply chains that can allow for the pull through of that demand? So, I don't want to comment too much on this one.
It's okay. I mean, there's nothing really you can, right? Like this is an ETF that's going to cover some of the individual names. I'm sure we'll keep watching some of the individual names. Be no change there. So.
Yeah.
And Buffalo by Bicycle, I would agree with this. It might be a good play if it's less volatile. It might be easier to trade and hold overnight. All right, 13. I'm going to go back to the big chart here.
Okay.
Is there anything in particular that you want to take a look at, or should we take a ticker here from the chat?
Yeah,
Jay Harris wants to take a look at Broadcom. So we can always do that. I feel like we always look at the Broadcom chart here.
We can do that.
Here's your Broadcom chart. I will step away very briefly, but I'll be right back.
So go do your thing, and I will talk about this. So we did get our death cross in Broadcom. Looks like, I want to say the end of not the last week, but the week before. So we did end up getting that. We were trading lower, but now we've tried to come back up, and we're coming up to 320. I think that's going to be your near-term resistance area. That's about where the 20-day SMA is, and it also looks like that's also been an area where you've had some resistance and support in the past. So thinking 320 is going to be a strong area. If we do get that rejection from the 20-day SMA, it looks like we could not only come down to some of the lows that we had last week, but probably even come down to about 275. That would be my expectation of a support beneath last week's low. With the ongoing, Iran conflict and energy prices, it's gonna hit every market. So I don't think that Broadcom is necessarily going to be any different. But I expect that there'll be a lot of volatility this week because we're still getting a lot of back and forth from this administration and the IRGC. and we still don't have a resolution for that. So that's what I would expect here with Broadcom. It's probably going to be more downside if we can't recapture 320. I think we're in a little bit more of a bearish environment, and there's been a lot of talk of the correction, and we've said we expect one. So almost got there last week. Still think that we could end up correcting. We're not out of this conflict yet. Even if it did end today, there's still a whole lot of infrastructure that's heavily damaged to where I don't think it's going to necessarily turn markets around right away either.
And really quickly, I know I just joined in at the tail end there. You were talking about waiting for a correction. Just as a reminder, one of the stories that I covered earlier, Warren Buffett had recently done an interview with Becky Quick, and she had asked him about the pullback here. And he basically poo-pooed it and said, what on earth is a 5 or 10% pullback? As value investors, we're waiting for more. And we will have $350 billion in cash ready to deploy when we feel like we get there. Key takeaway, not there yet, 13. So maybe we will see some more of a move down here, making this more attractive.
My where I think this is going to go is probably a little bit more of a conservative estimate compared to what he's thinking about. I mean, he might think this goes lower than what I'm expecting. So that's always something I think about.
Yeah, Yassine says this is nothing on the pullback. Yassine, I'm with you on that.
Yeah,
I am absolutely with you. It's a little bit, correction territory, but this is par for the course, to use the.
No, we never hit correction territory in the broader market.
Well, I'm sorry. We were. It is okay. I'm sorry.
And this one we did.
I'm sorry for being confusing because you're talking about correction territory actually being the 10%, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what it is. Yeah.
So let me clear up what I was saying here. Then to me, it feels like we are correcting, although we did not actually hit that 10% correction level. We got to what, 9.9%. All of that to say that what we're going through right here is normal. It's not abnormal, and it's not necessarily something that's going to make us or make new investors jump in yet. It might feel bad in the near term, but it's not actually that bad. And as 13's actual definition goes, it doesn't even represent a correction yet. So, okay. Sorry about being confusing there, 13. Jay wants to know, did 13 get his Final four trim? I don't know if you addressed that. Jay, I will say I'm all in on Michigan. If Michigan wins tonight, I win my bracket. So it all comes down to one game. The big dance all comes down to one game. You know where I'll be tonight. You know where I'll be tonight. I'll be rooting on blue. Rooting on blue there. Okay. Let's see. We got 6 minutes till we open. What else do you folks want to take a look at? How else can we help you get prepared for the market open here? Let's hear from the group what it is that you want to see. Also, smash up the like for everyone here in the chat. You folks have done an outstanding job this morning. Also, smash up the like for 13's Final Four trim. That's what we're going to call it going forward here. Okay, thinking about it, thank you very much. You're mentioning AEHR. You reminded me of another stock that I wanted to mention here. AAOI. This is up again here in the pre-market, right? This thing closed. Yeah. This thing closed at about 103 last week. These names have been huge winners. Big shout out, Jay, Kathy, anyone else that's on these. This is trading higher here. It announced that it received a new $71 million order for 800G single mode data center transceivers for one of its major hyperscaler customers. So AAOI higher here in the pre-market. If we go back to the daily chart here, we're testing the trend line. This is why I wanted to bring it up. Do we break above that? Maybe. We'll see here on AAOI. And thinking about it, I'm glad that you suggested a stock that started with A because I had forgotten to bring that up here. Here's AEHR, the one that you're asking about. This too, 46.36 here in the pre-market. Boy, sure looks like we're going to break to some new highs here. Not all time.
What was that other one that we looked at last week that I said was very similar to AEHR? It was also a test system.
Oh, God.
Company.
What was the ticker on that one? I know what you're talking about, but I cannot put.
Yep. Okay. Let me see.
Consult the notepad.
Yeah. Let's see if I can find it here. Because that would have been an interesting one as well. Shoot, what was it? Well, I'll figure it out. But man, that was.
I know that annoys me too. We'll have some time to figure it out. What do you think of the chart though?
For AEHR?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here, because I was just looking at
basically, I have two questions that I'm trying to get from you here, 13.
Oh.
Number one, do we break the near-term high that was set earlier in March? We're a stone's throw from that. And if we do, does that actually put this high from 2023 in play? And I believe that one's the all-time high. Yes, that is the all-time high. So does the break of the near-term high here set us up for testing the all-time high?
I mean, you've got the trend line there. I already like the way that looks. If you go to a weekly chart, you'll see that we just had a golden cross on March, what's the week of March 16th. I think that's gonna, that's a significant indicator for us. We bounced off the 20 week SMA last week. It looks like we could head higher. I would say that $50 is probably going to be your resistance, and if we get past that, then 55, and we're off to new all-time highs. To me, it looks like this is going higher. Just keep in mind that we are a little, I'd say, kind of extended on the weekly chart, probably on the monthly as well, almost on the monthly, but certainly on the weekly. So just keep that in mind if you're trading this. It does, to me, look like this is going higher, but just be prepared for continued volatility. As you look at this weekly chart here, you can see that there's been a lot of back and forth price action from the mid to low 30s all the way up to the high 40s. Basically on a weekly basis. Those are like the highs and lows. So just, understand that this thing has been volatile since we broke the trend line.
Basketball here says it was Keys. Was that actually it? I know we talked about that, but I'm not sure what that is.
Let me see here.
And while you look that up here, Joe saying, Ryan, can you interpret the Ondas news here today? That must have been news released after we went live, because I looked at that here this morning, didn't see anything. Let me see what I got here for you. Ondas 4M Defense wins a competitive tender with a large-scale, broader demining program with an opportunity expected to exceed 50 million. So this seems like a contract win, right? This is one of its subsidiaries that it recently got that 4M Defense there. So it's a possible contract, or it's a contract win that opens up to 50 million here. The work is tied. That was the much bigger project, right? That was like the $1.7 billion project. That might be in here too. It's related to the $1.7 billion Eastern Border Security Barrier Initiative led by Israel's Ministry of Defense. So I guess you could also infer that maybe there will be some more here if they are able to execute on this. There's add-on business. What do they call it? Follow-up business, add-on business. There could be more business from this. Ultimately, it's bullish for sentiment. Seems like a pretty good contract win. Don't know that it's going to cause the stock to go ballistic here today, though.
And yes, it was Keys. Thank you, Basketball, for that. It's kind of interesting. We did get a very high open in Keys for the pre-market here, and pretty much gave it all back. I have a rather large candle on the intraday chart. Looks like, did you get it? No, you don't have to. That just might be my broker then.
Yeah, you know what though? Let me pull this up in my broker. See, my broker, I don't have any large candle. Okay. My broker's chart looks identical to the chart I'm sharing here on the screen.
Well, anyway, that's the one I'd keep an eye on if we do see more movement with AEHR, just on the testing side of things. Maybe we get a little bit of a relationship trade.
Okay,
that's all.
Okay, we got less than a minute. I'm going to flip over to the main workspace here.
Actually, we're open.
Bingo, right as you said that. Really good timing, 13.
All right, so PFSA, looks like we were trying to lift into the more open here, but we are, okay, there we go. Now we're starting to move. Looks like we're going for 2, trying to break through 2.
Okay, SPY immediately went to the VWAP. I am going to wait this out. I want to see if maybe we kind of pull back a little bit. Jay was just highlighting here, oil, pay attention. Green to red, back to green. And indeed, oil in the green here, higher by 0.7%. So that might be also something to watch here. SPY went right to that VWAP and backed off a little bit. So might want to wait that one out, I think, right at the open.
So we still are getting resistance at 2 with PFSA. We went right up to 202 again and got rejected. But we're not completely breaking down, so just keep an eye on this one, see if we start to get some support. That's going to take us back up through VWAP. FCUV kind of did the same thing. Now it's trying to recapture VWAP. And I was going to say something about AIB, but it looks like that's still trying to recapture its 65 EMA. Initial move down out of the gate here for these.
Also, you'll notice I just spoke briefly about the price, the initial quote being wrong. That was wrong because we were closed. Again, Pro introduced a new quoting system. I'm actually seeing much better latency from the quote here as well, and the incorrect calculation is gone now that the market is open. It's using the correct number, so all of that was resolved.
PFSA broke, printed 217. Now 202, two area is going to be, I'm going to look at that as support, see if we'll hold it.
I have 225 as that high print there, PFSA.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. It is 225. It was marked off as 217 for some reason.
Jane, FCUV, out FCUV 781. So it looks like you had a nice move towards 8, was unable to capture 8. It's still above the VWAP on FCUV, excuse me. Frank Charlie Uniform Victor.
Yeah,
BT that pulled off of its VWAP right at the open. DEFT, I know it's a penny stock, but that's trying to go higher here. And AIXI 13, I know that this is a crappy penny stock, but remember we talked about this a few times on Happy Hour as being AI connected. That new intraday highs as well.
So AEHR down out of the gate. Keys slightly higher on very little volume. Looks like we're trying to push higher with PFSA as well.
Yeah, it does actually.
Just remember what this one's going to do in order to make that acquisition happen. Just be careful.
And folks, SPY, this is why we wait. Okay, this is why we wait. Jay, you know what? I'm giving you a one up here because that was a really good mention about the market there. Look, we traded right up to VWAP. We actually peaked above it right out of the open, slammed back down here. This is why we kind of want to wait that out. Now, I'm looking at SPY, but if you look at the S&P futures, we're holding right above VWAP.
Linkers halted to the downside.
That's LNKS, right?
Yep.
Okay. And man, that just looks nasty. This price candle looks like something I don't want to participate in.
BTBD went down to its 65 EMA. It's trying to recapture its VWAP right now. And if we do, I think that 235, 240, it looks like 230, about 235 is where the breakout could potentially happen. Volume's not that great, and it got a little bit of a spread to it. So we need to exercise a little bit more caution on that one.
Okay, market now trying to bounce here. So that's right back out. We're right back through that VWAP. BT, maybe if this gets through that pre-market high candle, I've got that at about 237. Yeah, and this is what we talked about with saying AIXI, speculation on winning a massive lawsuit against Apple. That's what we talked about. And we talked about the potential of that really being great for AIXI. But this, again, speculation, I think, is the key word there, Wes. Appreciate you.
Some of these names we were looking at and trading last week doing pretty good out of the gate here. AMPX with a nice move up, still going. J Rice, IRDM, looks like that's having a nice move out of the gate here. Let's see what's going on with some of the movers from this week. PFSA, that's still in the same territory. We're about to start a new candle here. It looks like FCUV trying to push higher towards 850 or 8.
Kathy, this LG, what is this? LWLG. Sorry, I wanted to make sure I got the ticker right. This is really interesting. This actually looks like it pulled all the way through the fair value gap very, very quickly, and it started to bounce. And in the process, also reclaimed VWAP. So I have no position on this, but this actually looks pretty good chart-wise. I think I'd like to see this challenge that $9 level again. That's LWLG, Lightwave Logic. Good mention, Kev.
PFSA is trading beneath its VWAP now. So it couldn't hold above it or the pre-market high. AMPX holding shares, nice. Do like that battery play. Now that I've said that, I got to look and see what Kodak's doing today. Not Kodiak.
Oh God, here we go again with that. I'm going to try now. I was embarrassed by that. Honestly, I left that show embarrassed that I screwed that up. You were trying to draw everyone a map.
Yeah, I just want to see what it's doing today here. So a little bit of a pullback after hitting that trend line that we drew. Want to see this at least hold 10. I think that'd be good for another move up. But this thing is kind of extended right now with a 77 RSI. So I'd like to see Kodak come back in and test 10 as support.
Real quick, FCUV upside halt here, 823. Nice. Jane, I know you booked your gains on that. I know it's popping. Don't get put off by that. At least you made some gains here. SPY, by the way, slammed back down. So it looks like it popped a little bit again. We are still figuring out which direction we want to go on that. Just be careful if you're going to trade that. This now looks like a curl. Looks like this might try the pre-market high, halted to the upside. Grats on any of you that are trading this one here. Good stuff.
It's a volatile week this week.
I think it's going to be all week. And that, you know what, this is another good reminder really quickly here. Not only is it going to be a volatile week for markets, but don't forget, me and the producer have a big time work meeting here. So the show this week is going to be truncated. No show Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. We will be back tomorrow. We will have Anne-Marie tomorrow, and we will be back on Monday next week. But Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday this week, just as a reminder, no show. No show.
So you should be a no-show.
Well, I mean, I'm going to be a no-show on camera, but I'm absolutely going to show up to the work event that we need, and it's going to be exciting. There's no doubt about it. Buffalo by Bicycle, don't worry, we are coming back. We are coming back. And Jay, good mention there on oil. Oil is trying to tick higher. It is now up by 1%. And it looks like that is absolutely impacting the SPY thus far here today.
AIB, one of the ones we were looking at, is trying to push higher. It's still in the sideways consolidation from the pre-market. Looks to me like 175 is currently the resistance.
Dan here has a really interesting question, and I would love to get the opinion here from the group. I'll start with my own, but I'd love to get the opinion here from the group. And by the way, LWLG continues to push to the upside, Kathy. Really good mention. I'm sorry I didn't get to that sooner because that was a great fair value gap trade. Dan here, great question. Do you think companies are going to be reluctant to go public with so much shorting? So I would actually expand that a little bit and say, you know, the market conditions, there's a conflict going on. There's uncertainty within the market. Here's what I would say. Yes, this might affect some, but I don't think that this is going to affect the big ones. I don't think this is going to affect the AI companies that are trying to go public. I don't think it's going to affect SpaceX. So I would say you might have a little bit of impact from this, but I don't think the bigger companies are going to be reluctant. And furthermore, if some of those bigger companies have extremely successful IPOs, I would imagine you're going to have others try their hand too, no matter what is going on with shorting or market conditions or all of that. If anyone else has an opinion on this, I'd love to hear it, but I think that's a decent question here from Dan today.
No, I think you pretty much hit the reason. I think it's probably not going to affect the larger ones as much as the smaller ones. So smaller companies that not a lot of people have heard of, the IPO, they may not get noticed. I'm sure they will because people like have these things on a watch list, but I don't think there's going to be like as much buzz or hype around it as there would be for, say, for example, SpaceX.
Sure, that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. Okay, PRFX. It looks like this is curling back towards the VWAP. We'll see if we get that. Bernhard, I know, and let me tell you something else, Bernhard. One other thing here. Just know that we care about you. We're thinking about you. 13 and it looks like we're going to be trying to take vacations at the same time to minimize some of the downtime. So I understand it's less than ideal, but we'll be back.
BTBD trying to push its way up towards the pre-market high 253. It's currently at 245 there. It's pushing up to 250. Looking for that pre-market high. Don't know how much time we have left on FCUV, but I would imagine that's going to unhalt soon.
Here's BTBD.
And WeBuy is getting some support from the 65 EMA following a pop and drop out of the gate.
Here's WBuy. Now, does that get support down there at 115? You'll have to let me know.
Kathy mentioning Renex.
Oh, that was a big mover from last week, wasn't it? Ren X. I feel like Wiss was on that last week. So this looks like it curled back towards that VWAP.
Looking at some older ones, I mean, you've got a couple that are kind of moving out of the gate here. And
FCUV is open. Good mention, Jacob. Here we go. That is through the pre-market highs. 13. I'm sorry for interrupting.
NXTT is up 17%, and EEIQ, another one that just ran up to its 200 EMA on the 5-minute.
Okay.
And FCUV, yeah, that's open. Probably going to go into another halt. We just did after breaking the pre-market high of 850. Let's see, where does this go here to? Maybe, that'd be interesting if we got up there. Looks to me like we're about to head into a slight gap. This is going to be back from the end of.
I'm sorry, which one are you on?
The one you're on.
The FCUV. That's what I thought. Yeah. Okay, just making sure.
If you look at the gap from the 26th of December into the next week, that there's a little gap right there from about 9:55 to, looks like if you use the wick, it's going to be like 10:43. If you use the real body, it's going to be like 11:25. So,
gotcha. I see that there.
Yep. No, I don't think I did. Let me look at MDAJ.
And real quick here, I can actually find that for you because I thought it was not far away. Ooh, maybe it was a little bit further than I thought.
JPM gave it a $34 price target.
Sorry, Jay, I missed your post as well.
Yeah, that's the news I see. So if that's what you're referring to, that's great. I mean, well, I like this one. I like all the space names. I mean, how they all doing this morning? I think I would imagine a good number of them are doing all right.
And Artemis flies by the moon today, doesn't it?
I think it does.
Pretty sure it does. I'm pretty sure it actually does. It loses contact with ground control for 40 minutes as it goes around the dark side of the moon. As I understand, they're going to try and take some pictures of that they did not have the technology to do during the last Apollo mission. So should be good.
Yeah, Virgin Galactic for some reason is up, one of the highest ones up today. AEOI, we already mentioned that. That's up 5%. I actually, here, let me just, I'm going to post this for the chat. I've got a SpaceX watch list that I'm keeping an eye on for when they do IPO. These are all companies that are going to have some kind of benefit to doing business with SpaceX or already owning a stake in the company now. So you've got, Bank of America and Google. They are early shareholders. And I think Bank of America is also helping bring it to market. You've got and EchoStar. EchoStar is also a significant holder because when they sold a lot of the frequency range to SpaceX, they got, I think it was like an $11 billion stake in SpaceX. So when that IPOs, that should be worth quite a bit. And there's these other companies that are that I wanted to focus on ones that SpaceX pays. Not necessarily ones they have contracts and they pay SpaceX. These are mostly ones that SpaceX pays. So I thought that would be something good to have on a watch list.
By the way, NBIS, someone mentioned this earlier, this right up at the pre-market highs. Someone last week, I feel like on Thursday, was buying this. It would have been Thursday. I know we kind of bottomed on Friday here. Oh no, this was Thursday. Who was trading this on Thursday? This thing straight up from those buys there on Thursday. NBIS, this actually looked like a pretty decent trade. And then Shashank asking about Fubo. Didn't this also have a reverse split?
Oh gosh.
Fubo's $11. I'm pretty sure that this thing had a reverse split.
Unless it really did climb up to 11. Let's see here. Splits.
Yeah, March 24th. March 24th, this thing did a 1 for 12. So it looks to me like maybe it's been trading a little bit better since that. Kind of sideways. This is really your first move here, but a move on decent volume here. Fubo up 14%. Let me check to see if we had news here. Indeed, we did. So Fubo expects fiscal year 26 adjusted EBITDA range of 80 to 100, and its fiscal year 2028 EBITDA of 300. So it adjusted its EBITDA outlook and long-term financial targets. Looks like the market likes that there. 14% today. Fubo, F-U-B-O. Your ticker on that.
FCU in 30 seconds. Thank you, Jacob. Get ready because that may print a little bit higher. Oh, it just opened. And it initially went down, trying to get some support.
Really quickly, sorry, I'm trying to, this is actually a fair value gap here on Fubo, about 1067. You said FCUV, right? 13?
Yeah. We opened, dropped a little bit, made a slightly higher print of 897. It's still trying to push higher. And what else is looking good here? Is Linker is actually gonna. I don't even know why I'm looking at that.
W buy maybe did find some support at that
AEHR
115 area.
AEHR is taking off right now.
AEHR thinking about it's dancing on its table. Here you go. Nice little dip and rip.
And there goes FCUV taking off, going up to over 9.
Lion mentioning Apple showing some relative strength here today. Let's see if Apple can recapture 260. Indeed, Lion, this is actually straight up out of the gate. Hasn't given it back yet either. Amazon looks similar to this. Maybe Mag 7. How's Meta doing today? Let's take a look at Meta. That's one I don't check often enough. By the way, Fubo bounced off its VWAP right there. Meta still holding higher. Apple looks better than it today. What is your favorite tech today, Lion? You'll have to let me know. Hans mentioning long AMD. So you're looking for AMD for another break higher here, I would guess. Jay says, I wouldn't buy Fubo with your money. Well, that's good, Jay. Still waiting for a golf lesson from my man, Jay. Thinking about it, AEHR has earnings tomorrow. I expect a guidance increase and analyst upgrades. So it sounds like you expect them to put up a good number, maybe even trade higher off that.
Well, remember, Market Sniper, FCUV. Wait, is this the... Or maybe I'm thinking of, no, that's that's PFSA. Never mind. You might be right. I don't know if it's going to actually do that, but it could move, very quickly because of how low the float is. I was thinking it was the PFSA one, where this one is going to dilute to acquire that company that I mentioned earlier, BioInsights.
NASDAQ trying to go higher here than the opening range. SPY not yet having the strength to do that. I will say, just kind of watching the SPY here, it actually looks like the bias is to the upside. It looks to me like it's trying to go higher. Now, trying to go higher and actually going higher are two entirely different things, so don't get excited just yet. But it sure looks like 658 is going to be the spot. Got to think that if we pop that 658, we probably try 660. Remember, we have the 200-day moving average. I believe it's 661 and change. Lion here, thank you for answering. I like Apple and Amazon both, and they are both showing strength here today. So, okay, so you like both of those. You don't necessarily like one more than the other. Got it. Got it. Here's your SPY chart. 661.5 is going to be your 200-day. We'll see if we test that here. To me, it sure seems like 660 would be something that we would see a battle at prior to that. So we'll see. We'll see where we get there on the SPY. It looks like it wants to go higher, but doesn't have that full push yet. And tech isn't backing it yet, although tech looks a little bit better this morning. Apple new highs, by the way.
Space names continuing to climb. I'm seeing that Citus Space is now up, was just up there a second ago at 14%. Momentous MNTS up at 9, knocking on the door of 10. Plug Power even up over 7%.
Fubo trying for new highs.
Space name's having a pretty good morning.
Now this Saidu, this little candle here, it's not doing this in the broker. This is just like a little bit of a candle quoting issue. It is up there near 340.
It's wigging out.
It is wigging out. We'll see if the SPY has the ability to push higher. Also, don't forget some of the words of warning that we got earlier regarding this being clearly a tweet and post-driven market. We're definitely expecting that still here today.
Thinking about it, I'm liking the way that AMPX is kind of set up with this this bull flag. If we get a recapture of VWAP, we might see 17.
Okay. SPY looks like it did print 658 there. The Qs are breaking out of this area here. So GP saying the Qs were hammering that 589 resistance. Here it is. It's actually trying to go through it. We do have prints above it, but it's got a hold above it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I want to see closes.
Yeah, closes, right? Not just peaks. Got it. SPY doing the same thing.
And I think FCUV is, if we hold VWAP here, it may gear up for another move higher, but we got to hold VWAP. Looks like PFSA is trying to push higher too. Remember, this is the one that's going to dilute, in order to acquire that company. So just be careful if you're trading this one. Nice break of the VWAP though.
Yep, PFSA. We'll see if this pushes through 2 here.
EHR hit a high of 49.37 before we just got a slight back off there.
I am noticing Saidu and Redwire from your space playlist both up here today.
Oh yes, space. Look, ever since SpaceX announced when that IPO is going to happen, I saw an immediate reaction to these space names, and they are kind of sizzling right now.
Redwire here. We'll see if it gets with 10. Or gets through 10. Excuse me. Case of the Mondays 13.
I saw that, Jay. I saw that, Jay, and I thought, oh, I guess the DEI's hires are rolling off. But there was another facet of that jobs report that I found interesting that I thought I was going to text Ryan about, but I don't think I ended up doing. Let me look at this report.
And while you're doing that, I got some poll results for you. We asked earlier, where does the market close this week? 28% of you said flat. There's just too much uncertainty. 29% of you said it's going to be volatile, meaning big swings in both directions. 27% of you said up, the geopolitical noise fades. And 16% of you said down, CPI data is going to spook investors. So it seems like there's basically 30% of each of you think flat, volatile, and up. The laggard there is down. So I would say that our group is at least slanted slightly to the bullish side here for this week.
I thought I saw something, but I can't think of what it was. Options went 5,000% Thursday, says GP and Redwire. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
right.
that was,
Redwire.
yeah.
That is one of my most favorite space names. One of the picks and shovels of the space industry.
Did you see the Velo 3D C-suite executive change?
We had news about that a while ago. That was in their earnings when they announced that.
Yeah,
it's not moving off of that.
Well, no, it just had a huge move on Thursday and a little bit of a pullback here today. I was covering this earlier.
So the reason it moved up on last week is on the SpaceX IPO. The reason it's moving down is because after after the market closed on Thursday, they announced that they may sell up to 500 million in stock from time to time in order to raise capital. That's why it's going down, because they announced the potential share dilution. Now, this is going to likely be one of those Ondas things where they're raising capital in order to expand more quickly. Because I think what we're going to start to end up see with Velo maybe some other companies too that are involved in 3D printing, is that they're going to be getting some more contracts to speed up the production of certain, maybe drones or other types of, munitions. Because this is the product they have, their Sapphire XT 3D printer. They make components, not just for rocket engines, but for other things too, like drones, missiles.
Yep.
So.
Jay mentioning here, as of our recent short interest report, 28.64% of Velo 3D's float is shorted.
Yeah, I think probably because of the big EPS loss. But like I said, this company is very much attached to the hip with SpaceX. So, as a matter of fact, I'm trying to think of exactly, and I'll have to pull it up to give you the exact language. But SpaceX owns, like, I think some of the design or the proprietary. I don't want to say the wrong thing. Let me get it for you.
Yeah, no, all good. And I totally empathize with you. By the way, SPY looks like it's trying to grind higher. Qs look like they're trying to grind higher here. So this first move, pretty good out of the gate here. Oil also pulled back, so that's helping everything here.
Yeah, so they have licenses. Now they use 20 of these printers, and they're going to be expanding. They're going to be buying more of these printers from Velo 3D. And I think it was the license of the, just the licensing to use, modify, and develop more. Trying to think of the right word, the printers, so that it meets exactly their needs, not just like a broad printing machine. If that makes sense, what I'm getting at. But anyway, Velo 3D, very, very important to SpaceX.
Marvell, this is the first really big unusual options transaction. Looks like traders buying the 110 puts that expire in May. They bought 1,900 of them and spent $1.73 million on that. Marvell, 110 puts for May.
Nokia's over 9, says Retro Texas. And you know what? Ever since it seems like we got news that this is going to be one of the major NVIDIA partners for 6G development, this has been getting a lot of attention. So I think, and here, I'll pull up that watch list again as well. Doesn't look like all of them are up today, but a good amount are. There is the 6G watch list for NVIDIA partners. All right. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot to look at the moment. Some things hitting a high and then kind of backing off.
Now, also, just kind of looking at the SPY here, remember, we had a pre-market high of 658.69. We're currently just shy of 658 right here. That might be a resistance area for the SPY, but this has really just kind of grinded higher. And in fact, on the 0 DTEs, I've just been kind of watching one here today. There's movement back and forth, but it's not the great big move because it is slowly grinding higher here. Still green across the board.
That's looking particularly interesting at the moment. RenX, this was that was mentioned earlier by, I think, Jane, right? This one ran up to the VWAP and backed off, getting some support from the 9 EMA. Looks like we could try the VWAP again, but we need to see better volume out of this one.
Gold went red to green. Lion brought up Google here. Lion, let me know, do you think Google gives you a 300 test here? And better still, if we test 300, do we end up pushing higher than 300? SPY looked like it tried to push higher there and then yanked a little bit. Now it looks like it's trying to re-push that pre-market high, 658.69.
As I was mentioning earlier about SpaceX and Google took a stake in SpaceX. They've got a 6 to 7.5% stake in SpaceX from 2015 when they picked up $900 million investment from them. So probably worth over $60 billion now. But when that IPOs, you could see Google probably really move if the IPO causes the stock to shoot up, the SpaceX stock.
We just saw a spike here in the S&P futures and in SPY that took us to 659.72 and immediately pulled back down to the pre-market highs. So like I've been saying here all morning, it does look like the SPY is trying to go higher. I think this just confirms for me 660 is going to be the key there. 660 and then 661 and change for that 200-day.
And there's that move in AMPX I was talking about. Recapturing the VWAP. Let's see if we can go up to 17.
Lion here saying, Ryan, as soon as the war ends, Google's probably a $350 stock. That's 50 points of upside from where we're at right now, Lion. And honestly, that would be pretty good. Looking at this chart, I could easily see a recovery if all things start to kind of move together. See if we end up getting that.
Okay. I think I've just been required to log back in here. Give me 1 second.
Did you get kicked out of Pro?
Yeah.
That I'm definitely interested in. I have not been logged out since we resolved that issue. When was the last time you actually logged out? Just out of curiosity. Last week?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe over the...
Yeah, and it said that I needed to renew my subscription. I just refreshed and I'm back in business.
Yeah, I was going to say, okay, that's... No, your token was just unfound for a quick second there. You're good. Okay, cool. SPY here still beneath that pre-market high. Boy, I wonder what happened on that post there. Maybe it's from the I don't see anything get I did not see anything get posted. I beg your pardon. Apple still 260, stopped right at 260. We talked about that spot. Amazon stopped right at 213. VIX, by the way, lower here. VIX is actually, VIX is higher than the Friday close. That's the Thursday close. I am all sorts of screwed up here. VIX is up 1.76%, but it's still holding at about 24. Remember, we had VIX above 30 for a brief period.
Great mention, WIS, Maxon, MAXN, hitting 117, going higher, trying to get through some sellers at 120. This thing looks like it unhalted and just gapped up. This might go up to 125 before it actually gets into some resistance, if not here.
Maxon looking pretty good. Fubo, new highs. Whoever was on Fubo, Jay, I'm sorry, but we're in the wrong there. UNH continuing to trade up here. There you go, GP. What kind of target do you have for UNH, by the way? Definitely a nice move here.
Let's see if we can get past that 50, that 50-day SMA. I don't like the way this chart looks in UNH.
I'll tell you what, this SPY move, if we went right up to 660 on that like impulse candle and then we turn around, that would be less than ideal. See if SPY comes back into the VWAP here. SMX has platform news. Thank you, Billy, the chat scanner. SMX up 35% today. Oh my, good mention here, Billy. This is ripping SMX. 2 points from its opening print.
Is it going to do this thing again? I mean, is the market that bored? I can understand if it is, but it seems like every time when the market can't figure out what to trade, it's like, well, you know, SMX still exists.
We could always go back to SMX.
We could always go back to SMX.
Tesla, by the way, nasty reversal here on Tesla. Tesla was up straight out of the open, right to the pre-market highs, rejected there. Now looks like the lows here from Thursday. Tesla not looking great.
Oh, okay. So remember
Seeing
how
some puts get bought on Tesla too.
I think we talked about this with SMX before, but remember the whole supply chain tracking play, the theme that we talked about. I think it was like last year.
Yeah.
This is they just had news that they're going to launch a platform to track and verify materials across global supply chains. That's the news today.
Okay.
At least the news I have in my broker.
Okay, so it looks like that was that big SPY spike right at 7. Yeah, it sure was. So it looks like this moved off the ISM non-manufacturing prices for March.
AHR new high.
So ISM numbers look all right, but we were not able to hold those gains. Market has since reversed from that. Sorry, which one were you looking at? AEHR?
Yeah. Nice move there. And, I'm just not seeing a whole lot until after they've already moved. You'd have to already be in these things. Maxon still climbing higher, 134 now the high. XLF is the leading sector, really. That was not showing me too many good things last month.
Let me see if my sector thing was fixed real quick.
Yeah, sure enough, we're coming. It's back above the 20, coming back up towards the 50, but we have a death cross here in this, and I would say that if we cannot recapture that 50-day SMA, we will go lower than 48. Now that could take some time for that to all happen because the 50-day SMA is up at 51.20. But if we can't recapture that particular level, I think we're going to see some lower prints.
PFSA here, Daniel saying bears are resilient. Looks like a deletion could be incoming. So this has tried to really kind of poke higher here. Let me actually redraw some of the trend lines there. Daniel, maybe you're right on this. This is kind of what I would do for the upside trend line. Downside trend line, we would start right down here. Oh, come on.
AHR is through 50 and still going.
Here's what I got on PFSA. AEHR running into its earnings, it sounds like. Tomorrow after the market closes is when AEHR reports. This is a nice 2-day move into that, I'll tell you what.
Please be careful with PFSA. We know they're going to be issuing shares in order to buy that company.
Yeah, that spike was on the ISM, Brian, and it spiked it up and then immediately sold it off. I'll see if that sets up for another trade today. Lion, take care of yourself. Me and my boy are going to run a couple of miles focusing on fitness. Lion, is it spring break for your son or is he out of school? I can't remember.
If it's like my kid's school, they don't have school the day after Easter.
Okay. And did they have school on Friday or no?
No,
they were off for, okay. So they got a little bit of an extended weekend there for Easter.
Yep. Kids these days just get all kinds of days off. Makes me jealous.
Well, I mean, the resurrection might be a decent catalyst for having a day off. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm not. We got a day off, I think, for that on Good Friday when I was a kid, but I don't remember ever getting the Monday off.
Yeah, me either. We definitely got Good Friday off, but not the following Monday. Well, you know what, 13? I also had snow days when I was a kid. I know living in Texas, that might be kind of a foreign thing, but like here in the Chicagoland area, I feel like every year there was at least one snow day.
We've had school shut down on the snow day before too, due to icy road conditions.
Okay.
Nobody wanted anybody bringing the kids to school and having all kinds of traffic. So this, stay home. Getting asked about AT&T. I mean, I kind of have a resistance area at 30. There might be some more things happening with this that I'm not, paying attention to. I don't have an informed opinion right now on AT&T. I'd have to look into it a little bit more before I, talk about it. But dividends kind of low yield now compared to where it would have been more attractive to pick it up. So, but anyway.
Tom here saying schools here in New York are off this week as well as Thursday and Friday of last week. Okay, Lion confirms his son's on spring break. Okay.
SMX 1260 now the high. AEHR knocking on the door at 51.
Saidu, some of your space names still looking all right. I have a cabin in Tennessee. Oh, I bet that's awesome. Lion. Yeah, Orthodox Easter is not till this Sunday. That my one of my friends, it's known as Greek Easter. I guess that's this upcoming Sunday. So S&P pulled back, but held the S&P futures anyway, held the VWAP. So we'll see if it bounces from here.
Looks like we're running into a little resistance with Maxon. It's got a seller in the way here at 129. It's trying to chew through.
That's MAXN. Let me bring that up on screen here real quick. Here you go on Maxon. Can you guys review USO? Sure, we've really only taken, I want to say, ancillary glances here at oil, excuse me. We're watching the oil futures here. That was up, down, up again. It's actually oil futures up by 0.87% here. Here's what USO looks like. You'd want to see this really kind of break some of its recent highs, I would imagine. No trade for me on USO here. Let me know what you think in terms of trading this. Are you looking to short this? Do you think there's more room for oil to the upside? What are you thinking on all of that? Let me know.
Let me see here with USO. I'd say you probably have some more support around 130. If we do get the move back down, that breakout area, that high before, just recently, was back in September of 2018. So that's, what was that? That looks like that's what, 128.24. So I would say about that area would be, I'd be looking at that as support.
M1, what do you think here on oil? Higher or lower? Are you looking for a short? Are you looking for a long? Let me know. And Zach, I'm with you on this. Oil will react to the geopolitical realities. I think you said, reality. And I agree with you. And I don't know which way that's going to, I have like my own thoughts here. Not great enough to trade it though. By the way, oil, as we're having this discussion, oil pulling back slightly, S&P trying to go higher. So there you go. It depends on US-Iran. Yeah, that's the whole thing. One truth bomb away from 200 oil. We'll see. And I think, again, just looking at all of the experts that we have consulted about that, more so than the shock that they see is the duration. That is still the case, right? The duration of all of this still going to be the big determining factor, if you will. Oil, given everything, oil today kind of muted, up 0.33%. We'll see where it closes. To your comment earlier about closing candles 13, we'll see where we end up finishing.
Yeah, lots of uncertainty still. I expect there'll be a lot of volatility until we have a clear picture of where things are headed.
I think you're probably right.
And AHR continuing to climb higher into the 51 handle. FCUV is at VWAP. Let's take a look here. Well, maybe it might be a VWAP in some brokers. It hasn't quite come back up to mine yet. I have mine at 799. Not that that's totally far away, but to me it looks like 785 right now is kind of a resistance area. It's been a resistance area for a good portion of the morning with only a few closes on the 5-minute chart above it. Selena,
thoughts on copper? Pretty sure that the whole group likes copper there. That's really going to be the AI trade.
It's going to be more than that.
Yeah, well, I just think long term, I don't think there's anyone that dislikes copper, but you might still see some volatility in that. What do you think, 13?
Oh, it's going to be more than just AI and data centers. It's going to be electrification. It's going to be EVs, EV tolls. I mean, it's going to be...
That's an existing theme, yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of stuff that we need copper for, and we're only going to see demand for it grow. So it's just one of those things that you just kind of find the best play that you'd like and, just buy it on pullbacks. I mean, when we started talking about this whole copper thing, we were looking at FCX, and now look at that.
Yeah.
Now look at it. This is back when when Trump had his first State of the Union, I believe is what it was. In 2025. So this is something we were on for a while. Momentous is 4. Nice.
FCUV still struggling with its VWAP, by the way. Here's MNTS. Yeah, I'm with you there, Joe. It's really about Hormuz being open. You know, we did get some reports as recently as last night that traffic is at an all-time high since the start of the war as of last night. Not back to normal, but still moving in the right direction. Ultimately, I think you're spot on there, right? That's going to determine where oil goes over the long term.
SMX printing higher, AEHR printing higher.
Market also trying to print higher here. Both SPY and the Qs are trying to bounce. They're both obviously inside that candle that we got from the ISM print. And Jay, I appreciate you were breaking that down. It said it looked like they didn't like the prices paid component of that print. Lion just has a cabin near the Smoky Mountains. Lion, I got to be honest with you. I'm not making a threat or making any promises, but it's possible that I crash your cabin at some point. I've heard just such good things about the Smoky Mountains and how beautiful it is and all of that. I might just randomly show up one day.
JJ, PFSA, the float reading that we have is 1.29 million. So very low float, very low market cap. It's not 30 million. They're going to have to issue stock in order for it to be that amount that they're buying the company for. FCUV trying to push through some of these smaller EMAs. If we can't get through these, I think we're going to come down to the 65 EMA.
That's FCUV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Retro. I think that the thought here is if we get there quicker, we use less gas.
I mean, look, as far as driving goes, I'm all about getting to places quicker. That's my motto. That is my motto.
Looks like we had a pop in red wire up to 10.05 and then a pretty big drop. That took us down to VWAP.
Tesla, new lows. Boy, what a reversal in Tesla today. And by the way, Bitcoin, haven't really checked in on that. That did make a move above 70K. I've got 70,555 as the high, but it has since moved back below 70K on the futures.
Maxon, be careful with this. Is a series of upper shadows here that I've got on a 5-minute chart. We could lose VWAP, and then I think it'd be tough to get back up there again. So be ready for a drop in Maxon if we can't hold VWAP.
Lion says, come on, Ryan. You better be careful what you wish for. I'm going to show up in a Gulf of America hat, and you might be upset. Just throwing it out there. But we'll see. We shall see. FCUV still flirting with its VWAP. Mo mentioning that sellers are getting heavy on Maxon. Mo, I am not on this one. I haven't made any trades on this one today. You think this is over, especially if it loses the VWAP here? What do you got?
I was just talking. This is the one I was just talking about with the upper shadows. If we lose VWAP, we could. So here we are.
And here it is.
Okay. Well, you had your warning.
Yeah. And a good one, and a timely one at that, 13.
Let's hold on. AIB climbing back up through all kinds of EMAs and VWAP. This might come up back up to 175. Still resistance in the way between 175 and 180. We get volume expansion. We might be able to get through that. All right, let's see. We buy losing the 65 EMA. We knew that wasn't going to be great.
AAOI, this is still green on the day, but this pulled back from its impulse move that it made out of the open. SPY is trading higher here, still inside the ISM candle and beneath 660, but this is actually near the day highs.
And I know it's not a popular opinion, but Bitcoin I still think is going to go back and forth for a while.
Yeah, I like the thesis that you drew out there. It's basically going to trade sideways until the next halving event.
We may see some.
Is that?
Well, so we may see some slightly lower prints. I wouldn't, take slightly higher prints off the board either, but I think we just kind of chop around, go back and forth, between the high 50s and the 50,000s and the low 70,000s. But not until when we approach the next halving could we potentially start to see a rise in the price beyond those levels, as it did happen last time. It seems like once we go through that entire all-time or new all-time high rally, and then we kind of stagnate and drop off, that's when we go sideways for a time until the next halving.
SMX, by the way, good mention here from Tess. Look, SMX, this was our winner of the day. Congrats to anyone that was trading this. I skipped out on SMX here today, but what a move. And all of it happened during the regular session too. So really, really good stuff here from SMX.
And I think it's worth pointing out that AEHR was fantastic also.
It was.
We opened around 46.24, and now we just hit $52.
SPY here, highs now. Actually might be re-going for that 660 area here on SPY. This is actually one of the better moves in some of those zero DTEs as well. So SPY back above that pre-market high, 660, then 661.5. Your levels on SPY.
So the privacy guy, there was Bitcoin put out a paper about how they were targeting 2029 as when they would potentially be able to break, or when you would see quantum break encryption. I think that is something we discussed last week, but it kind of aligns with what I'm saying in terms of where the price of Bitcoin goes, because that next halving is until 2028. And so we could get through that halving, maybe even put in or go up to the current all-time highs before we run into that potential quantum encryption breaking event. But I don't think that's still guaranteed either. But it's certainly something that I think everybody that's in crypto should be keeping an eye on, and for that matter, financials. But there are a number of companies out there that are also working on post-quantum cryptography. So those might be the play we want to keep an eye on.
Really quick, this Apple move that we've talked about a number of times, I just want to point out that the move today, pretty good. This has actually so far moved us above the 50-day moving average. So a possible 50-day moving average recapture here if we get this candle close above 260.60. I've got it as 260.63 here, but just about that spot. So this is a nice move here for Apple, and a recapture of this moving average probably puts these next moving averages, namely the 100, up there at 265.5 on deck. And 13, the other thing that I'm going to do here is if I draw this trend line, here's a target for us.
And that privacy guy, I think that the time horizon on quantum has been inflated. I think we'll see it much sooner than a lot of people are expecting. I think it's less than 10 years.
The big concern being if folks are holding encrypted data while waiting for the advancement to open up those files. Be an interesting next decade. Okay.
It looks like
G-Man, what do you think? So you have 262. You think a close above 262, or you swing long Apple on that? Jay reminding us, Apple and Google, the only Mag 7 names that are still above their 200-day. Remember, we just had Lion saying that Google would be one of his favorite targets if the war does officially end. SPY continuing to push higher here. Tesla, that sell-off might have stopped at about 358. VIX now sub 24. So the VIX barely holding on to green, up 0.25%. That at the day lows, by the way.
Yeah, John, that's something I don't want to give an answer for, because I would need to look a little bit more into that, understand what's going to happen with it before I give you an opinion. But if Amazon's looking at Global Star, I'm just going to have to give you the general statement. It's for a good reason. I don't know enough about it.
Tess here saying, great call, guys. Month maker. Tess.
Wow.
A month maker on a Monday. The month just started. Tess, it's springtime. It's April. Birds, bees, all that cool stuff. Enjoy it. Good stuff there. SMX, just a monster move. was an absolute monster move.
G-Man, is that a support area for Google? I think I
No,
had...
262 is a resistance area for Apple, a significant one.
Gotcha. Okay. It looks like, well, we've got pretty close to that 200 in Google. Let me look at Apple here. Wow. So interesting. We did actually close beneath the 200-day SMA in Apple once. That was on March 30th. The whole market was like, no, we don't want that.
No.
Looks like Maxon recaptured its VWAP, trying to push back up. I would say since we moved past the 50-day SMA, if we can hold this, looks to me like your next resistance is going to be up at 265. But I like that. I could see 262, but for me, I think I'm going to go on with 265. It just looks like a better area based on the price action since October. Not that 262 isn't that far off, but I think that area that what we got there is about where it's going to probably see resistance.
Okay.
260 and then 269 from Forsman, so he's looking for a little bit higher.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna argue with a matter of a few dollars.
No.
We're all looking at the same area.
And G-Man, I like this too. If Apple pulls back a back test and hold of that 50-day moving average, maybe that will be the juice that it needs to take its next up move. Okay. Keep an eye on that 50 SMA retest to get strength. I would agree with you. All right, what are we looking at here? We're about to sign off here for the day. It's a good start to the week, folks. I love that we've got a couple of big winners here early in the week, excuse me. Some of those space names continue. We'll see if that gets any more carry through, if we get anything from Artemis today.
Well, then I look at Mo chilling. I think you earned his name with PFSA. He's chilling now. Paid his bills in the pre-market.
Getting your bills paid in the pre-market is a good way to go.
That'd be a great t-shirt. I pay my bills in the pre-market.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Not bad.
Maxon, despite those upper shadows, we did drop down to the support area around 107, recapture the VWAP, and we have a slightly higher print here now at 135. Lots of resistance still to the north here beyond 135, all the way up to 150.
NAC, that's actually higher, although that's not really moving a whole lot. MLEC, this is curling, MULEC curling back towards its VWAP. I don't feel great about that, but it looks like it's doing a decent curl there. FCUV, this was another winner here today. That's still unable to get through its VWAP. Tesla, big bounce. Nah, it's not really moving a whole lot. Big drawdown today. Not really bouncing, at least not yet.
You brought up NAC. I looked at the chart. It's trying to enter a gap fill zone, but you have the 50-day SMA kind of suppressing it, and it's trying to move past the 200 as well. I haven't looked at the news recently about what's going on with this one, but this is kind of beholden to a court ruling and the EPA. So. And until we get to more clarity on what's happening with that, I don't know how great this one's going to be. Because I know what is potentially lies ahead for this company if those restrictions are moved. But until that happens, I just don't know how great this is going to be.
All right, 13. We're out of time here for today. Good start to a very busy week. Again, folks, I just want to remind you, folks, no show Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday this week. Everything's fine. We'll be back on Monday. 13. Any closing words for the group?
Fantastic morning. Let's have a good April. And folks, see you tomorrow. Take care.
All right. Sounds good. 13. Take care of yourself. We will see you tomorrow.
Yep. Well, see me right now.
Yeah, I'm just removing myself here. It's just how it goes. It is a Monday. Folks, thanks for joining us here. We know that you can choose many places. And so for choosing us, we really appreciate it. Keep hitting that like and subscribe to support what it is that we're doing here. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. We will